This is the XNC Podcast, your Xbox newscast, featuring Colteastwood and Gaz, hosting industry interviews and gaming talk live on YouTube every Monday night at 5 p.m. on the West Coast, 8 p.m. on the East Coast. For all of you listening around the world, XNC Podcast is available on demand on Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. Welcome to the show. Join the chat, hit the like button, and let's get into this week's topics with the Xbox newscast. How's everybody doing? I quite literally just got in from a long trip all the way from LA. Xbox is over. No. Gaz, Xbox has just begun. We're going to talk about the crazy reaction. I'm here with my co-host, Gaz from Game On Daily. How are you? Get us into this.
I'm good, man. Good to see you, bro. Looked like you're wearing a Pakistan team cricket jersey there, but looking good. Here with Special Nick from down under mine. What time is it there, Special Nick?
10 a.m. Now, Colt, I thought we had an agreement. I thought I said I'd only be on the show when Gaz wasn't on.
No, you have to do that to me.
Nick, welcome back, bro. I love talking Xbox with you, bro. Thank you so much for being here bright and early. We were talking before the show. Apparently, you haven't slept in 3 days.
Yeah, this is my fifth podcast in 2 days. And the first night I did Dutch's show and Gaz was on Dutch's show. Then we had our stream. No, sorry, we had our show, then Dutch's, then our stream. Then I did Nintendo Prime. I don't know if you know Nintendo Prime. I only sort of vaguely knew of them, but he's got like nearly 80k subs. So I jumped on his show.
Nice.
Yeah, and it's funny. I was there to talk Xbox, but we ended up talking a hell of a lot of Nintendo in the end. And now I'm here. This is the fifth one, so then I get a break after this, which is good. I need some sleep.
Oh, man, we really appreciate you.
God.
We really appreciate you being here. It is so crazy to get everybody up to speed. I flew out to LA for the showcase. Kind of a weird thing to go to the showcase when it isn't a full in-person E3. But shout out to DarkSeaMap, who's in the chat, who just gave out a 2-month code for Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. Hung out with him all weekend. Hung out with Sean the Breed, Dante J. Moody, who's also in the chat. Hung out with him for the past couple days. And we had a really good time. And we got to talk about this show. We're going to talk about this show. We're going to lay it all out there. I know that Nick has talked about it. Gaz did the live stream. He's done his show live already. But Gaz and I have barely been able to really talk about it. This is the XC Podcast. If you're just joining, I'm Colt Eastwood. Glad to be back in Washington State. Glad to be home. I had such a great time. And I'm not going to give some travelogue here, so you're not tuning in for travelogue. I'll talk about it another time. We're going to talk about the reaction to the show.
Whoa. Come on. Hey, come on, bro. We haven't talked for a while. You need to tell us, man. You like shook hands with Phil Spencer and stuff. You got people. We need to know what that was about. Like, you must have.
Well, let me tell a funny story. I went with my wife, and we were in line to Phil's like. Phil was doing autographs, like writing P3 with a silver marker on this Xbox showcase poster like this big. Yeah. And we got in line because, we all went, it's Phil. So my wife goes up in front of me and she goes, "Hi, I'm Mrs. Colt Eastwood." And he looked at her like, "What?" And then he looked over and saw me. He goes, "Oh, gosh, Colt's here." And he started laughing. And he goes, "Colt, you guys don't want my autograph?" I'm always like, "Yeah, sure, of course we do." And so then we went over and took a picture and we were talking about where we're from, and because we're both from Washington. And yeah, they were pretty happy. And the crazy thing is, the reason why I tell that story, actually give something worthwhile other than making fun of myself, is Phil's said that he was really happy that the show was clocking in the, what do they call it, the testing views or whatever. It was doing really well grade-wise. And on Jeff Keighley's poll, the show was getting a B to a B+, which was compared to Jeff's, which was like a D. So they were really excited, but we're going to talk right out in the open, aren't we, Nick and Gaz, about how we feel about the good, the bad, and the Fallout 76.
I have a sneaking suspicion. Gaz and I might actually align on this show.
Oh, wow.
Just
You're
wow.
going to get along, huh?
I'm sorry, Phil Spencer. I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry.
Let's start with our special guest, special Nick. Nick,
yep.
Tell us how you feel about the show. It's been a day. You've had time to digest, use the bathroom, and all that good stuff.
Look, it's an interesting one. I feel like there's a few ways that you can grade the show. Like from a personal perspective, in terms of the games I wanted to see and just the stuff I wanted to see, I probably give it like a C. I just didn't see much that I was overly interested in, and that's just from my personal taste. My favorite game of the show was The Last Case of Benedict Fox, which I thought was unbelievable.
Good choice.
That sort of game is
the
right
human
up my alley.
Ori game.
Yeah, it looked so good. There was others. I mean, Cocoon looked pretty good too. Cocoon. Yeah, there was a couple of others, and I think Redfall looked in surprisingly better shape than I thought.
Yes.
Given it just got delayed, I thought it looked really ready to go. But maybe that was just a very highly polished vertical slice. I don't know. From a perspective of the execution of the show itself, I thought it was probably an A. Like there was very little waffle, and it was just bang, game, world premiere, console launch exclusive, just game after. Like there was very little. Because I saw Gaz's face just now. I don't mean in terms of... I'm talking the way they executed the actual show itself. Its structure,
straight
its
into
pacing.
Redfall trailer.
Yeah.
Boom.
And then it's not like they said... had a 15-minute interview after that. They just went, bang, game, another game, another game, another game, another game. They did it quite well. So in terms of the structure, the pacing, I thought it was probably an A. As an overall... I guess as an overall... representation of where Xbox and Game Pass are right now and where they're going in the next 12 months, I guess you could give it fall somewhere in a B, maybe, if I'm being generous. So yeah, it's just a weird one because there's a few ways you can look at that show. I still think that Microsoft still have that same persistent problem of just not getting it. They just don't get what people want to see. This was not
the people that are going to speak out, right? There's a lot of people who are going to be the mouthpiece or be the loud projection amplifier of what the show is going to be. Really good point, Nick, because we want to talk about, there are a little bit of layers to the show. We watch the show and then you realize if you peel away something or look, there's some really cool stuff. Like the takeaway you were kind of getting at a minute ago was they have a lot of partnerships that we didn't know about with games that we've never heard of. But they look really good. And then the other surprise is a lot of games that are coming to Game Pass or launch exclusives we've never heard about that look really, really good. And the other thing, everything we saw means we are having hands-on with that so soon, which 2 years ago, right, Gaz, one of their best E3s was full of no gameplay, but promises for such a wonderful future. Gaz, I want you to talk to the audience here about that optic, because I'm sure that's one of the things you focused on about what they, like, as a whole, like what they gave to their fans and what they should have.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, Nick. Like, sometimes I feel Microsoft doesn't know what's good or what constitutes a solid show. Like, I think in the green room, Nick was like, if they hired me, I would know who, and I could tell what game goes in here. This is true. It's like,
I joined
the room, and all you hear Nick is like, say, Phil, behind me, I would say, put this in this show, get this out. And you know what? I feel you. I feel the same way. It's like, why? We don't want to see Sea of Thieves for that long.
Thieves. Why was Sea of Thieves there?
Why? Yeah, like Fallout 76, Fallout 7. I mean, Colt, you were there and in the gallery, right? With all the people, like, because it looked cool, man. It looks amazing. Like,
let me just say really quick, so I don't take much of that time. When you're in person, 50-foot screen or 30-foot screen, whatever it was, high fidelity, great sound system, subwoofers coming out of the floor, great, right? Excellent experience, a real live event. The first part of the show, everyone was super loud, and then as it came into like the League of Legends stuff and a couple smaller games, and then Fallout 76, like. The applause was this crescendo that came down, this decrescendo. And then when they showed the Fallout 76, the pit, which brings back good memories of me playing DLC from Fallout 3, but when my son was a baby, right? This was the reaction.
and
right? So there was thunderous applause, and then it started to quiet down. And then there was a couple of games. I don't know if we'll actually get into the microbials of some of those other games that are forgettable. Or let me be nice, but there are some games that are forgettable for like the main topic of what the three of us and a lot of the people here in the chat are going to talk about, right? I'll be respectful, but let me just say, guys, there were times when a couple of trailers got basically no applause. And if I was a developer, that would really be sucky. But go ahead.
You know what? It's not a look. We're not trying to bemoan developers' work or if you're indie and all of that. I mean, I loved Cocoon, or I love, people love Sea of Thieves, 30 million players. The number says it all. But
that's big.
In this show, you have to have it tightly packed. You need to have some kind of awareness of how it's going to be met. That middle part, or big part of it, was just a complete snooze fest in terms of pacing and everything. Just like, what is this? Like a Dusk Falls, like for about 5 minutes. Like 5 minutes of that. Why? Why? It's like,
I mean, that's coming. That's a partnered game, but I'm sitting there, right, Nick? Like, what's your reaction to Dusk
You
Falls
gotta be
being on the big
cutthroat with
screen?
that, man. In my opinion.
What I find weird is they were so eager to point out that they've also got a 90-minute extended showcase. So if you've got this other 90-minute show that isn't the focus, isn't that where you'd put your Sea of Thieves announcement and spend 10 minutes on As Dusk Falls in there, and throw Fallout 76 in there, and I don't know. It's so. It's just bizarre. You have to just wonder who is making these calls. You just have
I think it was done last minute. I think it was done really last minute. I think Redfall and Starfield being delayed was communicated very last minute, and then they had to really just scramble to fix that, because
they've been working on the show since January. But you're right, guys. There's some last minute decisions they may have to make. I got to give a shout out to Ralph Wiggum, who just joined the channel membership. Ran into him at FanFest yesterday. Gosh, was that yesterday? No, I haven't been wearing this shirt since yesterday. I put it on right before the show, and it smells fantastic. But I'll make one thing clear for people who are watching. We will be celebrating a lot of the cool stuff, but we also want to give Xbox is listening. We do want to give that criticism, because when there's times when I'm sitting next to my wife and we both yawned, I knew they had to get that pacing up. And I'm with it. Higher Nick.
If you're yawning at that show, at that place where the energy, I assume, is really high, and you're there, you should never even, it should be unconscionable that you could even dare yawn. You should be like there like a crack fiend. Like,
it's just a couple. You can make a couple decisions to fix that. But yeah, I'm with Nick. Hire Nick and let him go through the list, because Nick would have kicked out, like me.
Give
you
me
would have kicked out Fallout 76.
Give me the slate. Give me the slate and say, okay, Inside Xbox for this, blog post for this, yes, showcase for this, XO22 for this.
And then you got one of those little games. You're like, give that to Randall Thor. He'll cover that. Right?
Yeah.
Hey, let me read a couple super chats. We got CGA 93 with a 10-pound super says, hey, Colt, salam, guys. Hope you both enjoyed the showcase. Starfield looked great. I really want to talk about Starfield. Forza is just on another level to Gran Turismo. It ain't even close. Have a great show, guys.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have the list of the highlights in order. We could have gone through that and relived the moment that was 2 days ago or 1 day ago. Man, what year is it? But I want to kind of go through this stuff a little more organically. Let me talk about Forza Motorsport before I give it to these great gentlemen. After the show wrapped, Aaron Greenberg came on stage with Paris Lilly, and they were talking about everything that was going on. They took some questions, and I raised my little hand, and Greenberg called on me, and Paris goes, "Don't call on Colt. Don't let him have the floor." And there's about maybe 400, 500 people there in this, pretty big theater. And my question was, will Forza Motorsport have ray tracing during gameplay? And they both went, let's consult the official information. So Greenberg pulled out his phone and said, let's see what turn 10 said. And he quite literally read the Xbox Wire pushed PR terminology and the thing that Asaki said in the trailer, that there will be ray tracing on track. Because I heard Paris Lilly say with his microphone, it's going to be such a great looking game. It looks phenomenal. It's got ray tracing on track, which means he had talking points fed to him that he had to make sure he stayed on, because you got to do that. And so I asked Greenberg, he said, this is what they said. He goes, another thing I'll tell you is they said everything you saw was running on an Xbox Series X. So I got to ask my two amazing people here, my co-host guys. Let me start with Nick, guys. Nick, I want you to tell us what you translate from that, because this is an important thing about ray tracing. What do you think turn 10 really means?
Well, my problem is anytime any company, not just Microsoft, but anytime any company uses weird, tricky wording that doesn't directly address the question, you always have to wonder what they mean. Like, if it had ray tracing during gameplay, they just say ray tracing during gameplay.
Mm-hmm.
But to say on track, that is such a weird term. On track. What does that mean? So if you're on the road, there's ray tracing, but if you go off the road, then the ray tracing goes? Like, I don't... On
Nick,
track,
you
I have
nailed
no idea
it.
what on track means.
You nailed it, because where was ray tracing, Nick, in Forza Horizon 5? You remember?
In that Auto Vista, whatever it's called?
Forza Vista.
Forza Vista.
And I don't remember if Forza Motorsport doesn't have a Forza Vista. I don't think they have like a. I don't use it, but it has a. You can stop and go into photo mode, but
and that's called.
They haven't had ray tracing. Well, yeah. So you at any time. Oh, I mean, the camera was moving. It was showing gameplay, but that could have been in a replay. Gaz, what do you think they mean on that? I don't want to guide you guys into this because we don't know yet. And I've been talking to Dealer Gaming behind the scenes about it as well, because we're both really curious about the wordsmithing there.
I hope it means ray tracing in game as you play, because when they had that solid cut into gameplay, they had the little river or something, and they showed this is all solid and it runs. The camera pans into one shot, then you go into the gameplay. That's where ray tracing wasn't in place. If that doesn't have ray tracing, and that doesn't include ray tracing, that's in my opinion, that's a lie. They're pretty lied to you if ray tracing isn't in game. That's what you're on track probably means. That maybe reading too much into it, but if it does turn out that ray tracing isn't featuring as you play in the game, then I think that needs to be called out. That's Sean Murray levels of like
whoa
lying. Early Sean Murray, not the new Sean
talk.
Murray who has redeemed himself with an incredible Starfield. I mean, No Man's Sky.
No Man's Skyrim.
No Man's Skyrim. But yeah, yeah. So definitely should in-game ray tracing. If that's not in there, turn 10 need to be called out. But I don't think that's the case. Maybe you're reading too much into it. But if it doesn't, call them out. Then it's oh gosh, I'm going to call them out. I'm
with Nick. Like, why not just say ray tracing in gameplay? But here's
maybe just like Ace in the chat says, it's less racing wording, just the way it is. I'm sure they will be clarified. Maybe. But if
Maybe.
that isn't, you all need to call them out for it. I'm sorry. That's not cool.
I'm 50-50 on either way. Another thing that could be, and the chat was really good about this. The chat said it's next gen only. Like it's got to have ray tracing and gameplay. What if, chat? Let's leave this on before we'll get off the ray tracing trial. What if they want to be careful with the wording because they want ray tracing in gameplay on the Series X, but if you have the Series S version, you're not getting ray tracing in gameplay, only in replays. But they don't want to oversell the Series S version, but they want the Series X to shine.
It's fine.
Nick,
that's fine.
how possible is that?
Sorry.
It's probably likely, not just possible. But then again, I'm one of those people that doesn't see the big deal in ray tracing, at least this gen. Like, real ray tracing, the ray tracing that makes a difference to actually how a game looks is ray trace lighting. So as you saw from that remake or whatever of Metro, remember how Metro, which Metro was it? The newer Metro. Yes.
Exodus.
Remember how that got that update and it got ray trace lighting and all that sort of stuff, and it made it look like a completely brand new game. Ray trace reflections don't add anything to a game. They don't add anything. They don't add anything to the look of a game. They don't add anything to anything. Nah, ray trace reflections are overrated. They're overrated.
I'm with Nick and Gaz. I will fly. You know, I won't fly. I'm tired of flying.
It's like
I will drive to the UK.
Reflection looks so real. Who cares? Who cares? Whether the reflection looks real or looks slightly less than real, who cares? But when there's ray trace lighting or even ray trace shadows, like, not only does that make an incredible difference to how a game looks, with ray trace shadows, you could even potentially weave that into gameplay if the shadows are realistic and where it's all bouncing light and all that sort of crap. That could actually affect gameplay depending on the genre of your game. Ray trace.
Here's something, guys, that
do nothing.
Nick, enlighten me.
Shiny.
That last trailer 2 years ago of Forza Motorsport, they showed all those ray trace reflections in the garage. And they're like, for 2 years, everyone's known if you're in the garage, the shiny garage floor will show your car. What if on track meant not just in the garage, out there on the road? I will take a major L, but I am really kind of still split on this. Yeah. Gaz, you want to talk about something? Let's talk about Forza Motorsport outside of ray tracing, because it absolutely burned out on the face of Gran Turismo 7. Holy smokes. Take it, guys.
Bro, like, this is... Let me just be very clear. I saw some like personalities that quote was like, "Oh my god, Xbox has nothing visually stellar. Only Playground games can churn out good-looking games." And I'm like, you picked Playground games, who are incredible. You picked the Racer after what we saw with Turn 10 just showed us, ray tracing or no ray tracing, that game looks so far ahead of anything Gran Turismo 7 achieved. Like, to the point where I'm shocked. I'm party chat with Dealer. I'm like, how is this possible? How is all these things possible? You got all this damage in there. You got 48 points of physics upgrading, impossible, all next gen only. You've got plants and stuff, vegetation growing in real time. You don't even have it full, like, AAA third person games. You've got tarmac that heats up and has effects on your physics and your tires. Oh, you got realistic time of day. Oh, like, even like you said, Gran Turismo's tagline is the real driving simulator, and it's just like, are you sure now?
Well, it has been since day one, since the very first game, because it was technically the first. Like, Gran Turismo's the OG. Gran Turismo's been around since the PlayStation 1. And for a long, long time, they were the standard bearer in racing sims.
They lost that crown 8 years ago. Years ago.
They probably lost it a long time ago.
And Gran Turismo 7 was them not really regaining there, let's be honest, other than the fact that by de facto they were here, they released their game, middling kind of critical reception. I mean, it's okay, but monetization was bad, blah, 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 blah. Visually, completely inconsistent, let's be honest.
Pretty underwhelming.
Yeah, and then you've got this title that just looks like it's incredible. It's leagues ahead. Don't embarrass yourself. I felt like it was a lot of a defense mechanism, like just like the No Man's Sky Starfield thing, which is so stupid, save for the justified critiques on the frame rate, which we'll talk about later. Forza Motorsport, like Asa, my co-host of Game on Daily, he always said, watch out for them. Watch out for them. They are the wizards. They are the incubated studio that will represent the tech. They will lead what Microsoft's Xbox's studios. And look at it. Look at what Forza so leagues ahead of everything. It's an argument for next gen only.
And you know what? It's not just about the graphics, because Forza feels way better. I spend time in Gran Turismo Sport, and I'm like, not liking it at all. And I got to ask Nick about. They showed this Maple Valley. It's one of the really beautiful racing tracks in the Forza Motorsport series, and it looked incredible. Tell the people about the comparison of the tracks in overview from Gran Turismo 7. That was kind of a focal point a few months ago. Do you remember that?
I don't know if you're asking the right person. Gran Turismo 7, most of the screenshots I had seen, the environments looked, I don't know, they looked from almost a couple of gens ago, not just last gen.
It did look like PS3, like overshots, low level of detail.
And I suspect that Polyphony, however you pronounce their name, remember they're a Japanese dev, and the last 10, 15 years have shown that there's been a lot of Japanese developers that have struggled with next-gen development. And I just have to wonder if Polyphony is one of those devs. Like, every Gran Turismo title that's come, the last 3 or 4, there's always been something. I remember the controversy with Gran Turismo... Which one was it? Where they carried over a ton of either PS2 assets or PS3 assets into it because they just couldn't make enough of the next-gen cars or something. Like, there's all... like. And the funny thing with Polyphony is they still take ages to do this stuff. And it's still not there. And yet they're there for ages developing it. Where Turn 10 are like, here's Forza 5, here's Forza... I remember when I was younger, I used to think, man, Forza's going to take... They're always going to be like 4 or 5 games behind Gran Turismo because they came so long after. They've already caught them and surpassed them. Like, how did they... they
completely
just keep pumping out the games.
Yeah, like, I've played a lot of the serious racers, and Forza is definitely the best one. Absolutely. So, and they've been taking top podium in the ratings since they came out over Gran Turismo. Ralph Wiggum, who also gives us a $5 super chat. Thank you. He says, it was good to see you in the Los Angeles Stakes for the fist bump. Can't wait for the next 12 months of games. I got to say, it's quite a thing to make a trip all the way out to an event like that. But being in person really made me feel human again after spending 2 years right here in pajama pants and never seeing any of my friends. So happy. Thank you, Ralph, for sending that. Red Wolf with the $5 says, hey, guys, can't watch live, but the obvious question is, what is everyone's thoughts on Starfield? I was screaming the whole time as a huge Bethesda fan. Yeah, I loved it. We'll get into it. Gaz hated it. No. Well, we'll get into it. Crazy Night Boy with the New Zealand $2 says, so happy with Starfield. These are his words, not mine. He says, ponies are downplaying it. We'll get into that as well.
He's right. He is right.
Yeah, I mean, that was always going to happen regardless.
Well, yeah,
Crazy Night Boy also.
We'll talk about
Crazy Night Boy also says,
I'm sure Forza Motorsport looks like a OG Xbox game too.
Oh my gosh. I think they kind of sunk into their seats on that one. Crazy Night Boy also says, Gaz, when do we get more sauce, you sexy demon?
Listen, I'm in the office every day this week. I have to train some stupid paralegal. If you're watching it, I'm sorry. But I will do it as soon as what happens on the tomorrow's show, and I'll film it or whatever. It's coming soon. Just know it's coming soon. I've got the receipts for all the salty PlayStation fanboys crying about Gran Turismo versus Forza versus Starfield versus Kojima Summer. But I will talk about that. We're gonna talk about that.
I cannot wait to get into the Kojima thing. Another, Gaz he's a man of the people. He's got to make content, even though he never sleeps. I told everyone at the Xbox show, Gaz, that you don't do cocaine, but we want to find out what you do.
Everyone thinks I do. Source
we
is
just
not.
want to find out what it is. Like, do you crush up Smarties, or do you shoot something between your toes? We don't know what it is.
Just snort that. No, I just have high energy. I have a lot of high energy. That's it.
Oh,
ADHD, it helps.
Another man of the people is Hargi Chani, who's been a channel member for 12 months. But no,
Hargi?
Hargeet's one of my good friends. We got to see Hargeet. Got to meet
I saw the
Hargeet.
photo
I
on
got
Twitter.
to hug the dude, man. I hugged Hargi Chani. It's amazing.
Rapid
Hung out
game
with
on
Hargeet.
daily. Bro. Shout out to Hoggy. He looked like a snack with Phil Spencer standing next to him. It was like so cute, right? It's like,
Dude, I'll say on the show that Hargeet was wearing the Game on Daily shirt when he met Phil.
yes,
And he said,
boy.
I'm from Hargeet with the Game on Daily. Gaz and Asa, and Phil said, yeah, I watched a little bit of the show last night. He said that the other day. So, bro. And so I turned around and I gave Hargeet 5. And then I was like, yes, that's so amazing. And then Phil goes, and then I blocked him after that.
yeah.
No,
Phil,
but that's,
oh my God,
that's
Phil
awesome.
watches our stuff. Is insane. It's so
He doesn't
crazy
only
to
just
me.
watch Xbox Era. He also dabbles in some of the other smaller channels like us. But no, I'm love you, Hardy. He says, I think differently than most of you. I think it was mostly good throughout. Differences, and this is so true. He says, I play whatever comes out, and you're looking for bangers. Oh, Hargeet.
Hoggy, you rep Game of Telly, then you drop like no. But we'll talk about. There's something to be said there, but I don't want to interrupt your super chat reading. But look, I get it, and Hoggy's right. He plays everything. To the point, he's probably the first person on the planet who has probably run out of games on Game Pass to play because he plays everything.
He really does. He has like I think he has like almost 500,000 achievements.
But there is something to there's a point to be made about what constitutes a successful show in this medium, in this space, with core, and Asa loves this word, core gamers, but really to hit the messaging, and I don't think they hit that. But there's a lot there. There's a lot to unpack.
You have to have the show mostly has to be made of games that excite most people. It's pretty simple. It's a pretty simple recipe, as Nick covered pretty well. Moby with the $5 says, Cole, awesome show. Do you think any of the games we didn't get on Sunday are on tomorrow's show? Hoping so. Hit the like button. I'll do the business here. I guess he didn't go through a lot of the business, but this is the XC podcast. And shout out to over 1,100 people here watching the show. We really appreciate it. I'm here with my co-host, Gaz from Game On Daily. He's over here, I think. And Special Nick from Xbox Era. Fantastic channels, beacons of the community, and helpers of all old ladies across the street. We love you guys. You guys are amazing. The show is also, Gaz is like, hurry up and get across the street. We also do the show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. So that'll be on demand for you to listen to the next day. So thank you so much for being here. I've got a couple supers. We're going to get into the show. We've got stuff to celebrate. We got some stuff to talk about that, is right to the heart of what's going on. Dark CMF, another good friend, hung out with him the whole weekend. Great guy. Always see him in the chats. He doesn't say in the super happy birthday, Gaz, but he does say, thank you, Dark. Why are you sending me money? Why are you doing that? He says, extended showcase will have games that were cut from Sunday for time. We do know that, but there's a lot coming in 2023. He says beyond a 2 month window, hit that like button. So Dark and I talked to the head of Xbox Game Studios, Matt Booty, just after the show wrapped. And Gaz, shall I take a moment and kind of explain what Matt said? We were being recorded by cameras. I don't know if it'll ever make it to some video somewhere.
Okay.
So Matt's reaction, like Hargi asked Matt Booty, like, not a lot of stuff for 2022 from the first party studios. And Matt was kind of like, it's really frustrating. He said, a lot of people expect us. I'm going to paraphrase Matt.
Did he use the word frustrating?
I think he used the word frustrating or ticked off or something like that because he wants all the games out. But he's like, a lot of people expect us to just get the games out so we can meet, like a serving tray, right? Those are my words. Yeah. But he says it's very frustrating that we want the games to come out, but some stuff is not ready. Now, of course, I'll just dip back and say Starfield needed to be ready. Redfall needs to be ready. And they showed very well. So he says, we've got a lot of stuff that we're working on. And he said, everything's going to land in 2023. And he says, the new problem we have is I have a spreadsheet of all the games that are releasing. And now we have to figure out where they're going to land without stomping other big games and timing them all so we can get them all because they're all coming at the end of 2022 and 23.
I mean, if you believe I do think some of these this 12-month thing, and I'll talk about the strategy they've devised of a 12-month thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think they've done that just to kind of like, hey, they have nothing to show as far as AAA first-party games are concerned for 2022.
Okay.
People, let's be honest, that's shocking. All this time that they have all these studios that we've been to say Xbox has no games and they have nothing to show for 2022 is frankly embarrassing considering all the noise they made about all this content and they have nothing. But if you are to believe that Diablo, Forza, Redfall, what's the other one that's going to come all before the so Diablo and Starfield? I'm going to forget Starfield. Those games in the first half of 2023, I just can't see that happening. That's way too crazy. That's where the challenges lies. Like, how are they going to spread that? I think things will slip over. You're telling me all four of those games, you're going to have enough time to play. I mean, Starfield alone is a huge game. You're going to have enough time to enjoy that. Redfall's, okay, fine, maybe. Okay. Diablo's huge. Like, Diablo, I just don't get it.
Guys, like, Diablo's supposed to come out before June of next year. I forgot what the date was. It was 2023? Nick was like,
potential spanner,
Nick's like trying to jump in.
That's the other potential spanner, though. Like, what happens if, as I expect, ABK goes through before the end of the year? And you might say, well, what does that mean?
Saying that, Nick, it's not happening. Look, I'll fight you for it. You know what?
That's fine.
Let's put some stakes on there. Let's
hold
live on air. Let's put some money on. No, it's not money on. Let's just it's a family show.
You both have given really good reasons why ABK will close and won't close this soon.
Oh, so you don't think it'll close this year, guys?
Okay, I don't think ABK will close this year. Live in front of everyone. Let's have this. Let's put some stakes on this thing. You're gonna have a whole Dorito full of mongoose hot sauce.
We'll do it, Nick.
If it doesn't go through this year,
where do I get that hot sauce from? Where do I get that hot sauce from?
I'll buy it for you and send it to you. Bloody hell, man! You're in Australia. I'll ship it out to you if it is. Don't worry about who's going to get you the hot sauce.
I might be able to find some down here.
I'm sure you can. You got good friends of mine, Carlos. You're friends with him. I'm sure I'll chat to him. He'll get it for you. Whole Dorito covered in that, and you're going to eat it. And if I'm wrong, then I'll eat it. Deal?
Yeah, but you do spicy foods. That's not even punishment.
He's ready.
For you.
Doesn't matter if I'm a brown person who can handle spicy food.
There's got to be something you need to eat that's actual punishment for you. I don't do spicy, so that is punishment for me. But what's punishment for you?
How about if Gaz is wrong, he has to actually finish a game?
I don't know. People say I don't play
Nick,
one and done PlayStation games. What?
We already know the other possibility. Nick, if they're able to get that deal through, what could be the possibility this holiday for ABK?
Well, I mean, we don't know what ABK's studios are working on. I mean, most of them are working on Call of Duty, but they could also have other stuff in the background that no one knows about. So it could be that if that goes through by the end of this year, all of a sudden there's a whole bunch of other games we may have no idea about that could be coming next year as well. Potentially. Again, I don't know anything. I'm just saying. There could be a whole bunch of other games.
That's when we talk about the games. Let me pull up this graphic here. There's a couple multiplats in here that aren't even launch exclusives. Like they included Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 and Callisto Protocol. Why was that on there? Was Callisto Protocol wasn't even in the event?
No,
was
it
it?
wasn't.
No. Why is that in this graphic? A lot of this, there's some weird stuff, but there are a lot of games. I want to get to those, guys. We got to get to those, right? A lot of these games that are coming.
Bavari. Look. What are you doing?
Sorry, I was getting warm in here. What? Tell me. What did you read?
Random. What was that?
Well, I don't know. I'm lost, man.
I had to turn on my fan. Sorry. I'm hot. I'm hot in here, all right? Someone goes, relax, Colt. The games are coming. Like, I'm really relaxed. I'm really relaxed. Look, yes.
What do you want me to say? What was the question? You were losing me.
I thought you read something spicy.
No.
Here's what Hargeet says. When I was talking about Matt Booty, Hargeet said Matt Booty told me that next year they'll be blowing our socks off with all the games they couldn't show this year. Should see a lot next year. So that's the thing. That was the rule just this year, right, guys? Because you highlighted that they did this on purpose. Everything you see, you're going to be playing within the next 12 months. And a lot of that stuff is in the next few months. Some of that stuff is this week or next week. So there are a lot of games. I want to get to those. I don't want to get like totally out of sorts and miss stuff. But Dante Moody, who's also hanging out with me at FanFest, he's such a good guy. Follow him on Twitter at Dante J Moody. He sends a $20 super. You know what? Now I got to send him some money back. We had dinner with him. That was great. He says, I'd score this show a B of a lot of variety of different games for the next 12 months. Avowed, Peak at Fable, and Hellblade Combat would have knocked it out of the park, but those were disappointed, I feel. So here's the problem, Nick. Let me go with Nick for this one game, and then Gaz will go to you for the other one.
GoldenEye should have been there.
We're going to cover that. We're going to cover that. Nick, Avowed by all rights, no excuses, should have been shown gameplay format.
Something should have been there. What
happened, Nick?
I have a sneaking suspicion there was stuff cut. I've got a feeling stuff was cut last minute. Very last minute. Like, I mean, in a couple of days before. I don't know. Maybe Halo.
You cut
Halo's
Avowed to do a
demo.
Sea of Thieves drinking song?
Well, maybe Halo's 2020 demo has them gun shy about what they show. If it doesn't look like spot on. I don't know. I'm just saying. Like, so someone asked In Exile on Twitter, "Hey, you guys going to be at the show?" And they were like, "Nope." But then Machine Games were like, "Oh, we're excited for the show. We're excited for the show." And then they weren't there. So was Indiana Jones cut as well?
Yeah.
Like,
I don't know. I know Indiana Jones. What are they doing, man? What are all these studios doing?
Well,
wait
a minute. Now, Indiana Jones doesn't come into the conversation because do either of you believe Indiana Jones is coming out by next June? That's the rule.
Surely they're trying to time it with the movie.
It's PS. I mean, the rule has actually caused the problem. They thought, like, we have all this. We're going to have lots of games. You're going to be drowning in lots of games in the next 12 months. So many games. But that's where it hurt. Like, your strategy didn't make any sense. Because now the show could have been great if they showed even early glimpses of 3 games. They showed Avowed. Maybe it was Fable. You want to come at me and say, Gaz, you were wrong. The game is healthy in development. Show it. You haven't showed it. So
I'm going to say something, but I got to get close to the camera.
State of Decay.
Say something.
About it's like at this point I feel so stupid for saying 2023 is going to be great. I'm not saying that now. I'm not doing that.
Yes. I got to say something.
Yeah.
PlayStation ain't got nothing for the next year or two either. They ain't got nothing. They don't have anything. All they have is Spider-Man 2 next year and Wolverine the next year. They don't have a bunch of games, but they've had a great. I do not like being that close to the camera. I'm not doing that again. I'm an ugly son of a gun. Hey,
no.
I'm just going to say that because there is perspective here, Nick, right? Like you've been looking at PlayStation's roadmap. I mean, do they have a bunch? Xbox has a lot of games coming.
Well, the problem with PlayStation's roadmap is we just don't really know it outside of the stuff.
At all.
It doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
Yeah,
I may have received certain concept arts of certain things a couple of months ago.
Last of Us, we saw it. Don't give secondhand.
I'm taking a gamble here, so I'm not going to give names of anything because it'll give away to my source what they've sent me. But I got some concept art from a first-party PlayStation game that's sometime in the future. And
hold on, Nick just DM'd it to me. Let me check.
It looks great. If this concept art comes to fruition in terms of what we see in the game, it's a really, really cool looking game. Now that's all I can say. If I say any more, no, because it gives away. Because I shouldn't have even said that. But
I know they have stuff in the pipeline.
I'm saying that as an example of there's stuff that PlayStation's working on that we just don't know. So
of course,
in terms of the roadmap we know about, yes, it's just Spider-Man, Wolverine, basically, and that's about it. But in terms of
and it has frustrated some of the PlayStation fans and some of the PlayStation centric media people, right? They've been like, hey, like, what do you have? Like, Xbox has been exciting their fans. I don't know.
Look, I mean, PlayStation has the show this summer. They're going to do something. And if that doesn't actually reveal anything substantial in terms of first party, and God of War does slip into 2023, Xbox is kind of exonerated, despite the fact that they did have Horizon and they did have Gran Turismo show off this year. I think Xbox in many ways is kind of almost exempt, despite the fact that it has zero AAA. It will help in terms of the competitive, optics of the both. Then definitely. But if PlayStation is serious to maybe in the narrative show off a big AAA first party game that we don't know about, or Wolverine or Spider-Man 2, then it's going to be quite strong in favor of that. But you're right. I do agree with you, Colt. Like, it's not all sunshine and rainbows in PlayStation land as well. And one thing I will say, the variety that you get. Oh, I really like. Look at I've got the list here of some of the games they showed. Cocoon was amazing. Then you got
was that the ball grabbing game?
Yeah, the ball grab. That's so weird. Like from
that's
inside.
Why Gaz loves that game so much.
Oh, I do, because I got something to grab. Boy. Oh, that sounds weird. But yeah, that was beautiful. Like you've got.
I'll help us walk through some of the smaller games. Okay. Freaking Flintlock is day one on Game Pass multiplat. Looks really cool.
That look cool.
Flintlock is the third-person action-adventure girl with like a kind of a scythe axe, and she's got the dragon dog as a companion. One. Looks very cool, and I didn't know that was. What else? Coco Cucumber, who makes Echo Generation, has a even more impressive looking game called Ravenlock, which is like how would you describe that game, Nick? It's really super colorful. Do you remember which one I'm talking about?
I'm trying to remember.
It's like the little child walking through like a really colorful jungle with creatures and it's like
dragons
very weird stuff.
The name rings a bell, but I have to remember what the game looked like.
You remember Echo Generation? It was like that pixel bit 3D looking game where it was
visuals
like interactive.
Were really nice, and it's quite
this one was
vibrant, very vibrant game. Coco Cucumber, it's really nice looking game.
Yeah, you can look it up right now while we're going through that and say, hey,
that's actually a beautiful game.
Yes, the voxel looking one. Yes.
Yes, but the main character is actually smoothed out instead of like blocky.
Can we talk about High on Life? People,
let's talk about High on Life right now, Gaz.
That was pretty
Gaz,
funny.
sell it to the audience. Good. What in the heck was that game? Looks so cool.
Bro, that High on Life is from the Rick and Morty universe. And if you've played Rick and Morty in VR, what's that Rick and Morty? I always forget the name of the game. It's just so much fun in VR.
Called Rick and Morty. It was VR and then it came to console. It's hilarious.
Oh man, it was so good.
Tell us what this High on Life is.
High on Life is this wacky first-person shooter where the guns have better storylines than Halo Infinite. Basically, where basically, it was visually astounding.
Looked nice.
Visually. Next gen. It just looked.
Trover saves the universe. Thank you, Firestar.
Trover saves the universe. Thank you, Firestar. So visually stunning. Gun design genius. It was hilarious. This gun is like, hey man, you're shooting my kids, but it's okay. I can create more kids. And then
the knife was Gaz.
The knife, the eyeball. Or the knife with the character.
The knife goes, my name is Knifey. I'm Knifey.
I'm knifey.
And what did he say when he started using the knife, Nick? You remember?
What did he say?
He was like, stab.
Eye popping, yes.
What's
literally
the story behind
when you just stab the NPC, actual eyeball pops out. It's so genius, man. The color, there's so much variety in the enemies. such a. I just can't wait to
It's
play.
like-
I'm just speechless. I was like, what is this game? No one knew about this game. It just came out of nowhere. Beautiful
It's
game.
like the cartoon version of Scorn. Nick, what is High on Life? Is it a partnership with Xbox? Is it a launch exclusive, or is it just day?
Didn't they say
on Xbox?
console launch exclusive?
Well,
Didn't that one have the console launch exclusive label before it?
I'm gonna see if I can find it because
You know,
when I'm watching the show, I'm like, I'm not taking notes. I'm just enjoying it. So let me see if I can find
Enrolling
it.
is in the chat, and he keeps talking about how Shia LaBeouf is on the show. It's like, no enrolling. It's not Shia
Bro.
LaBeouf anymore. It's now Pablo Schreiber. It's the Master Chief that's on the show.
I can see it. I
I used to get Shia LaBeouf all the time until the Halo TV show came along.
Oh yeah, that guy does look like you. He does.
I know, it's pretty scary.
This is the reason why this show sucks. No, I haven't seen it. I haven't seen the show, so I can't say it sucks.
Have you watched it?
Huh? No, I haven't watched
seen
it.
the
It's so
Halo
hard
show?
to watch it unless you pirate it here. It's hard to get it.
What is this
yeah.
show about that we're
Whatever.
doing here right now?
Halo,
Okay, so
the Halo show.
High on Life is currently being developed for Windows PC, Xbox One, and Xbox Series X. So
Xbox
yes,
One.
I remember. I do remember.
It's not
I'm
coming to
remembering now.
PlayStation?
It is set for now. It is an Xbox exclusive. It's not being. They don't say timed exclusive. So
Yeah, there is a time
6
exclusive.
months, a year, or
Who's
whatever.
the publisher?
Who cares?
Who's the publisher?
It
Focus?
is. It does look like that. It look like their games. It is Solar Opposites. They also did
And it's on Game Pass.
Squanch Games that developed Trover Saves the
Squanch
Universe,
Games.
and Solar Opposites
Yeah.
is a game, another game that they made, I think.
Squanchy.
So yeah.
it's
Anyway, it doesn't
beautiful.
matter. Looks
I mean,
awesome.
yeah, we're going like in a little tangent. It's such a beautiful game, and like
Yeah.
you know, that's a big one. Like you know, we're talking about big hitters, and we kind of get lost. Look at that game. That's just such a beautiful game. Like visually astounding. Gameplay looks a lot of fun. It has so much character. That is and it's Game Pass. It's like I don't want to sound like I'm shilling for Game Pass, but the fact that it's actually on Game Pass is just amazing. There are so many games. That was a highlight for me. Probably my top 3, definitely. But there's more here. There's more here.
The crowd was rolling. Like people were laughing so loud and cheering like in the moments as the gun said things. And when he stabbed the eyeball, we were roaring. Hargeet Johnny with a $5 super chat. Hargeet, he says the loudest crowd that got was Phil coming on stage with the announcement. Starfield had some fire moments, but Kojima wins. He says the crowd went crazy. Kojima was on screen for probably 20 seconds. I pulled my phone out of my pocket.
And
I was
said
going to tweet
nothing.
out.
He basically said nothing. He's still got a big reaction.
Doesn't matter.
I was going to tweet out the
Doesn't
picture of
matter.
Kojima with the Xbox tattoo because I knew I wanted so bad to yell, "Suck it, ponies!" But I didn't. I didn't do that because I know this one hurt them because the day before, Nick, what was that leak about Kojima? Do you remember the little screenshot of the little? I don't want to spoil it. Did you see the petition, Nick?
What is that cup
yes,
you've
the
got?
petition.
That is a cool looking cup, by the way.
FanFest
Colt.
Cup.
Oh, hell, thank you. It's a
But,
FanFest exclusive.
That looks so nice.
And when I got to the show, they said, "Now, Colt, this is the only exclusive that Xbox has."
Is that...
you know what was even funnier?
Can you hold it in the camera? Is it
funnier
like
than the
cheap
petition?
plastic or nice?
Yeah,
It's glass. It's glass.
Oh, it's glass.
What?
Oh,
Yeah, it's
that's
very heavy.
amazing.
Yeah, it's really
wow.
nice. And it says on the back here, Starfield
I'm
runs
sure
at
that's
a rock
plastic.
solid 21 frames per second. Nick, what were you going to say about
You know
Kojima?
what was funnier than the petition? To have Kojima not make an Xbox game? After he was on the Xbox show, there were fanboys that got so upset, so completely distraught over the fact that Kojima was making an Xbox game that they were like just tweet spamming him to death to the point where we had to say publicly, "It's okay, guys. I still like PlayStation as well. It's okay." I'm just like, that is ridiculous. Like, you're joking.
Sad people.
So that'll be a
I
source
loved
video for Gaz for sure.
It made
So there was-
itself.
There was
Jeff
another
Grubb?
moment. I'm gonna give this one to Gaz, but there was a little itty bitty part of a trailer where a guy went and sprinkled salt into a pot. Gaz, what was that? What was the other big kick to the groin on the Xbox showcase? You know what I'm talking about? The little
Persona?
Persona. Tell the
Persona
people what
was
happened.
huge. Persona was huge for a lot of people. Persona 3, 4, and 5. That game signified Xbox is at least trying to make inroads into Japan, and Phil
And they
Spencer
were
came
trying
out
for a long time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. This has been like 10 years coming.
Yeah,
Or something
that,
like that.
and what the hell is Wolong? I don't even know what that game is.
But I want to get to that in a minute. But the Persona thing, you said that was a big deal. That I dare to say, Nick, that the Persona announcement was a bigger deal for PlayStation diehard fanboys than it was for anybody else. Did you see some of the meltdowns on this one?
Yes,
I actually
Save the
didn't.
receipts.
I've been going so non-stop that I didn't see it, and I was too busy having people remind me that I had said something like a year and a half ago about Persona. But
oh, nice.
Well, Gaz mentioned that on Dutch's show. So look,
The one
I
thing
never
that
said
Nick got right. Thanks.
Look, I never said. Technically, I never actually said Persona was coming to Xbox. All I had said, I got a DM about a year and a half ago, and I've still got the DM, was that Microsoft are trying to get Persona 3, Persona 4 Golden, and Persona 5 Royal onto Xbox Game Pass and PC. They were trying, which is all I tweeted out, that they were trying. But then everyone took that as, well, Persona's coming to Xbox, Nick, where are you? You're wrong, it's not there. And I said, well, no, I never said it was coming. I just said that they're trying really hard to get it. And because the people forget, Atlas aren't a massive team or studio. Atlas aren't known for being super efficient either. Is that Nutella in there?
Yeah, how did you know that?
Because I am a Nutella aficionado.
Oh wow, respect.
Even though my son is anaphylactic and I can't have much Nutella anymore.
Oh no, bless him.
Yeah, I know. I don't miss peanut butter. I don't miss nuts. But Nutella kind of hurts. But yeah, they've been trying for a long time. Like, people have been bugging me on Twitter for over a year. Where's Persona? And the funny thing is, when people bug me, I then bug my source. And I say, so they still working on Persona? And the whole way they've been saying, yep, they're still trying to get it. Atlas aren't known for being super efficient. So I've now had people switch to asking me, is it going to come to Switch? And it's like, you know what? Who knows? It probably, logically, why wouldn't it? Like, Switch is the dominant platform in Japan. It would make very little sense for Atlas not to port those games to Switch. But Atlas aren't a super efficient studio. They're not going to be working on 15 ports of 4 different games for 3 different platforms. That's not how they work. Right. I mean, you saw it all yourself. Persona 5 had a date, but the other 2 didn't. So I wouldn't be surprised.
So they're working on them as they get.
Yeah, I've got a funny feeling they're literally just working on them one by one, and that's why you need patience when it comes to Atlas. That's why it's taken so long.
I talked to somebody from PR and marketing, and he said when Phil goes to Japan, he goes for a big reason. So every time Phil goes to Japan, somebody says something like, "Oh, he's getting something." He is absolutely getting some stuff taken care of in Japan. And there was some Japanese representation of games that we're seeing. The Wolong from
Team Ninja.
From Team Ninja, and Tecmo.
Nick, and apparently,
what is this game?
Hasley, the producer of Bloodborne, is working on it. I don't know what the game is. We need to see a bit more of it.
It looks very Dynasty Warriors, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's the thing. A lot of people, there's what's it called, that Dynasty Warriors?
Which one are you talking? Are you talking about Wolong or
Wolong?
There's another.
Yeah.
Okay.
Before
we talk about Wolong, let me ask you guys about Naraka.
Let me ask you guys. That looks cool.
I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly.
I played that on PC. Really good game.
So, Gaz, how do you describe that game? I was trying to write notes.
It's like a fighting battle royale game. It's really weird.
That's right. Yeah.
It's like Tenchu, it's really like versatile in its
an arena fighter
mechanics.
Basically.
It's like an arena fighter, but massively
like in a big nature.
You know what I was hoping, Gaz?
PvE elements as well.
You know what I was hoping, since you know the game? I was kind of hoping we'd see Bruce Lee in the trailer because Bruce Lee is in the PC version.
Is he?
So I was kind of
really?
Bruce Lee's in the PC version, so I was kind of
Played
hoping
the
we'd see Bruce Lee.
access,
But, yeah.
bought the microtransactions already, which is what I do. I love multiplayer games. I'm a multiplayer head, and I really think it's going to do. It's got 10 million players already, but that game did really well on PC and on Xbox, and it's crossplay. It's going to do really well. It will translate. If assuming the controller woven in well with the controller, perfect
Crossfire
game.
X had like
Good game.
Crossfire X had tens of millions of players over in Korea, but came over here and flopped like really bad. So I hope this is not the same case, but I'm trying to find it on this list because
it won't be the same.
Oh, here it is. Is it a multi-plat when it comes to console? But it is day one in Game Pass, but I don't know if it's exclusive to Xbox without looking it up. Chat, help us out on that one. Let me read a couple supers here before we get into Wo Long, because that looks really good. And I think that's, well, we'll get into it. Sailor Mercury with the $2. Thank you so much, Sailor. Says, so happy Persona Trilogy is coming to Xbox Game Pass. Sheriff, Game On Daily, welcome to the Xbox channel membership. You get custom emoji. You got Joanna Dark, who didn't show up on Sunday.
Shout out, Sheriff.
Sheriff, who Gaz knows. Welcome to channel membership. You also get early access to videos. And you get, when you write in the chat, you look like you're super important. That's no, but we really appreciate your support. Thank you so much. Risky for the Biscuit, who's been a channel member himself for 10 months. Risket, thank you so much. He says, what's up? I love the approach. Gameplay, 12 months looks awesome. Some great looking indies and AAA. Real question is, will Gaz's teeth get ray tracing?
Not with all the Nutella I'm eating. No. Sorry, I'm eating. I'm going to be...
There's so much Nutella when you smile. It looks like you have no teeth. That'll be amazing. Yeah. Indrid Cold with the $5 says, a little bird told me Xbox will be purchasing Relic and Creative Assembly from Sega post the Activision deal. Nick should Scooby-Doo and investigate. Yeah, Nick, go check to see if they're going to get
I don't
Assembly.
do any work. That's not my thing. I just wait for the DMs to come my way. I don't do any work.
Like this?
Just wait for people to slide
What's
into his
come my
DM.
way?
I just wait for the little Discord notification to go, and then I just go in and see what's in there.
What the hell are
Yeah,
Tim
that's
Tams?
What's that?
Oh, Tim Tams are amazing.
Someone goes, send me a box of Tim Tams.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that import Tim Tams. A lot of people from the US and the UK that import Tim Tams. There's an international version of them. I just can't remember their name. But in Australia, they're called Tim Tams, and they're amazing.
Welcome to the food podcast.
Sorry.
Oh, we do that on Xbox Era all the time.
Hello.
Go
I inhaled a hamburger and fries on the drive home. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad I'm home.
Could do with the one
It
right
was
now.
a dank burger. Yes, it was dank. We did eat well at the show. I'll tell you what. We went out to Fleming's, which is a really nice place, and I looked at the menu and I went, "It was great. It was really good." Crazy night boy with the.
Yeah.
I said, "I'm a YouTube millionaire. Let me get that." And then Hargy goes, "Let me get it." And I said, "No, you don't." And then my wife goes, "Can we split the check?" No, it was great. Crazy night boy with the Museum 5 says, "Gosh, you guys got me so pumped." Also, you're right, Gaz. In regards to Forza Motorsport versus GT7, huge fan, and thank you for loving my comment. Love making you guys laugh. Shout out to the chat and the audience and everybody who's watching.
Rock.
Thank you so much for being here. Udana Quezada, a great moderator on the chat with Happy Bomb and Dante, who are here keeping an eye on the porn spam. That's kind of a hard word to say that. Say that for me, guys. Porn spam. He says excites most people. He says something that excites most people. That's a Banjo-Kazooie attack against Nick. Oh, I am so glad Nick didn't get this one for the showcase. Nick, I love you, but I am an anti-Banjo-Kazooie guy, and I think you know why.
Not
but
anti. But,
yeah. Flesh Jackson with the $10 says,
I think we're gonna get it.
You stop willing stuff into existence. Flesh Jackson says Xbox is the Uncle Owen of gaming from Star Wars. Maybe next year I'll buy some more studios and you can play first-party games. Luke, I need you around Game Pass. Surely you understand, but I want to go to Toshi Station to get some power converters. Yeah.
What the hell?
Oh my gosh. Hargy Johnny with the $5 says, with the Hot Wheels announcement, gosh dang it, that looked good. He said, here's the full Forza Horizon 5 Premium Edition global code. He dropped
Wow.
I don't know, half an hour ago. He also drops the premium add-ons bundle for Horizon 5. Hargy,
Wow.
you are a man of the people. You're amazing. You're hilarious. And had a great time with you this weekend. Gaz, I love you too. Okay, Z Black Rider, the Canadian $5 says, you geniuses need to step back. Xbox is fine. All right, Gaz. Collars off. Go get him. Go get him.
Man, what do you want me to do? Do you want me to this? Do you want to just shill and damage control? I'm not going to do that. I keep getting it. Oh, Gaz being negative. Oh, there we go. Wah, wah, wah. I'm just going to call it what it is. That everyone is genuinely disappointed. Some people are really going at me, and I don't care. The more you do that, the more I'll come back at you, just because I know this isn't what Xbox need right now. And I'm sure Xbox do recognize that this is going to be a weak showing. And it is a weak showing as far as what Xbox's Bethesda showcase should have been. It needed to go hard, and it didn't. So I'm sorry. But I'm very happy about some things as well. These games.
And then it didn't in the middle. I'm really not happy with the pacing for the middle. But
show was 8 out of 10.
The camera for us.
How's 8 out of 10? I just don't get people.
You know what?
Let's
pull the audience, Gaz. Let's pull them.
Here's the problem, right? And this goes back to what we were saying earlier about Microsoft not getting it. And they've got this same problem with their studios. So Microsoft was sort of infamous for meddling with their studios and being too hands-on and all that. So what did they do? They overcorrected, and now they're too hands-off. They've done a similar thing here. So the complaints against their shows in the past were, oh my God, so much CG. Oh my God, so many bull shots. Oh my God, so many fake demos. Why don't you show real gameplay like Sony does, and blah, 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 blah. So then what's happened is, again, they've overcorrected because they themselves don't understand what people want to see. So they've overcorrected and said, okay, we're only going to show gameplay, which they did. But the problem is, if the right games aren't ready to show gameplay, then they weren't going to show them because they apparently were told only show gameplay. So,
well, where's Hideo Kojima is not gameplay. He just showed his face. That's worse than CGI.
But in 2020, they showed nothing but CGI trailers and announcements for games that we will eventually get to see. Everyone freaking loved that show. I love the approach that they say, hey, here is a title of a game, or here is a small rendering of something that's coming that I could be excited about. And then you get this other old voice that says, but I want the games now. And Jess Corden of Windows Central completely nailed it. He says, Xbox listens to the criticism of the fans. They've been begging for gameplay. They give him tons of gameplay, and they move the goalposts. So I think you have to take a reasonable stance because, like I said, the show was really great on the first third and the last third. But that middle section was not for me. And I was sitting in the crowd. We were all pumped. But the crowd did come way down in the middle. And maybe they could test that and say, if you could literally pull out 2 games that you thought maybe were during the slow period and replace them with something more exciting, and you could get those spikes to come back up. But that's a tough call to make because Nick says very well.
Someone that gets it. Like, again, like Jez said, I understand that the focus was on gameplay. There's nothing wrong with the title screen, but you got to know which title screen's the one to show. So there's no point showing a title screen of a game that's a new IP that no one's heard about. Because that could get cancelled like Scalebound did. It could end up sucking. It could be all sorts of things.
It could be small, you never know. Right?
Title screens, right, and teaser trailers are for things like Wolverine, are for things like Metroid Prime 4, known quantities. That's what title screens and teaser trailers are for.
Good point.
New IPs are where you see gameplay because it's something new. So you want to see what the hell it is. And that's why Microsoft needs someone there that can guide them and be like, guys, no, we know what Sea of Thieves is. We know that it's up to season 763. It doesn't need to be at your big showcase. Put it at the extended showcase or chuck it in a blog post. They need someone there guiding them because clearly right now they don't have that. They have people that... I don't know who they have. I don't know who it is that's guiding these decisions that don't get the audience they're aiming their marketing at. Like, that showcase was for the hardcore gamers. Whether people hate that term or not, that's who that showcase is for. Like, you know, my co-host, John, loves Sea of Thieves, and even he was a bit at Sea of Thieves being there. Like,
same as Zorka. He plays Sea of Thieves religiously. Yeah, he says the same thing. Like, didn't need to be there.
Like why is it there? I'd rather have a shorter show than have that.
Yes, I think it's okay to cut 20 minutes or maybe 25 minutes from the show.
100%.
If it means that Sea of Thieves, awesome. That trailer was hilarious. It was really well done, but it didn't belong at that showcase. Like, that's not part of the message. I can't believe how successful that Sea of Thieves is. 30 million players. It's crazy, but super good. Like, we all were in agreement. My friends and people I talked to at the event, that the Sea of Thieves trailer is hilarious. It was great, but did not belong there. And that's not not really a knock, but it's just like, you know, take a step back and say, it's very tough for all of us here. Gaz, Nick, you create content, and you have to, as they say in the show business, sometimes you have to kill one of your children, cut a scene or cut part of content. Sometimes I'm making a video and I'll be listening to the voiceover and putting stuff on it, and I'll be saying something and it may only be 30 seconds or 20 seconds. And I go, that's a little bit derivative, or that's kind of dull, or that kind of makes even my mind wander, and I'll cut it out and lose that part of the video. And in the end, it's going to be better, even as though it's just a dumb YouTube video. But you're right, Nick. They need somebody who's take a step back and go, I don't think talking about Fallout 76 is the right message right now when people are hungry for what's hot and what's new.
Like, especially after the delay.
Legends.
Yeah. My God.
Even Minecraft Legends. Let's be honest, that's probably going to be a massively successful game. Probably. Can
I ask you a question, Nick? Is that will you control the character in real time, or will you send forward warriors and as they kind of do their own thing? Because it's
I thought it was a real-time strategy game, wasn't it?
So how does that play, since I'm not super familiar with those type of games? Because it looked like it was almost an open world Minecraft Dungeons game. But what is it?
It's an action strategy kind of game, wasn't it?
Was it? I'm not even sure. But again, did anyone really care?
Looking at that game, I want to hit X and I want to do the slashing. I want to do the dodging and the moving. Am I going to do that in Minecraft Dungeons? If not, I might not care. Nick, what's the answer?
That's what I'm saying. Like, you were in the crowd, Colt. What was the reaction to Minecraft Legends?
First, we all thought it was going to be the ray traced version of the game on on console. And then
what was the reaction? Were the fans reacting?
When they realized what it was, what was their reaction?
I could only do it with my face.
Yeah, and that's what I mean, though. Like that.
Right. But hold on, there's more.
Core of the problem.
They're kind of like they're kind of confused, and they're like, oh. Then there's this face, like, because it looked gorgeous. It looked, if you've watched it in replay, but we watched it on the big screen, it looked beautiful. And then I thought, oh, is this a strategy game? And I'm like, at first I'm like, Mojang's making something new. And they're like, new game, and then it's like Minecraft again. It's like, you guys could make something else.
And that's what I mean. That's the whole point. That people like. It's like Roblox. People don't understand that Roblox is like one of the biggest games on Xbox, but none of us care. Like, it's about understanding your audience, and I still, to this day, still feel like they don't understand the audience. There's just...
Or maybe they do, just doesn't have anything to show, but
It's
so make a shorter show. Have a shorter show.
If I was sitting in a board meeting...
30 minutes? If I was sitting
it was great.
If I was sitting in a board meeting with Xbox and I was going to say, I don't think you should show Minecraft Legends at the showcase, I don't think I could even speak up and say that, because Minecraft is huge. And Dungeons was really popular. And this could be better than Dungeons, because Dungeons only went so far and a lot of people loved it. So that's a hard choice, but definitely Fallout 76 and a sing-along at the bar and Sea of Thieves could have been skipped. Or maybe something that, maybe there's something from Tuesday's show, Nick, that Xbox could have put in that they didn't think would have hit way better. Let me grab a couple supers that will kind of lead us in the next discussion here. Dante Moody, who's been a channel member for 16 months, says supermodel Colt this close up. I'm not a handsome man, but I am here to try and put on a good show with the amazing Gaz from Game On Daily. And we've got Special Nick from Xbox Era. So I haven't asked you guys, but hit the like button if you're having a good time. I know some of the criticism can come off rough, but people listen. They're listening to you. They're listening to us, especially they're being reasonable. I mean, so far, even Gaz has been reasonable. And I don't know how he does it.
Even.
He's amazing.
Look, I give the show a 6 out of 10, C, and whatever. But I will say, what the games they did show off, Starfield, I can't wait to talk about that game. There were fun games, but Starfield and Redfall were a given. Forza was a given as far as we're concerned. So we were looking when we were from weeks on end, including the community, some of the people who are making excuses. Really, that's what it is, excuses. You yourselves weren't even really talking about these 3 games in detail. It was always about, okay, we're going to see Avowed. Oh, we're going to see Perfect Dark. We're going to see this and that. You were talking about everything else but those 3 games that were a given. Of course, the games, how they perform and really happy. Redfall surprised me. Based on those early leaks, I thought it was going to be like...
oh my gosh. Can we talk about that for a second, guys?
Let's talk about that. Yeah.
So we knew from the first few seconds that we were about to see Redfall. We were pretty sure, right? It comes in.
Yeah.
I got to hear your reaction because we've been doing some, kind of like getting some frustrations out. But Redfall, Gaz, what was your?
Good.
Very beautiful. Devs, if you're listening, please do like the trailer they showed off. No UI like slapped on. It's so clean. I like no HUD. Sorry, that's what I meant. No HUD is so nice. And yeah, maybe just change it. Let's just figure out.
Wait, was there HUD in the Redfall stuff?
There's no HUD. There was no HUD,
Okay.
but that was just done
great
for trailer purposes, I'm sure. I'm very confident and your abilities and stuff. But it looks really nice to remove all that noise on the screen. The game looks very solid, a lot more polished than Starfield does. It seems quite further away. It seems like the delay may be done to final touches to the game. But I loved how the sound design was beautiful, the weapon design, everything was meaty, the gun sounds great, the abilities of the character, the chick with the purple umbrella, wicked. Just open world gameplay as well, and
the lighting great too.
The lighting, the lighting is really like it wasn't like a visual like blockbuster. It kind of looked like a cross-gen in some bit, but in other bits it's shown really well, like reflections and stuff.
It actually looks better than what Arcane usually makes. Like it was more highly detailed. Usually they kind of go for a slightly
stylized look,
watercolor stylized look.
Yeah, palette kind of thing.
Redfall, because that was like the kickoff.
Yeah, like I said earlier, it just looked so much more polished than old. Because again, it just got delayed, so I'm thinking, it might look a bit rough. No, not at all. I was shocked that it's still being delayed to next year. I'm like, okay, why not just push it to the end of this year, so they have a full game. But it just, I thought, I mean, even those really garbage leaked screenshots of Redfall, I thought even from those screenshots, you could kind of tell that the lighting might be really nice and all that sort of stuff. Each time the shotgun went off and that vampire was about to attack and you saw that flash of light, it just looked,
the particle effects,
good. Yeah, when they disintegrate.
So nice.
And at the end, like they go through the portal and the level design just turns into something else. And I'm like, this looks really fun. The characters, good. They seem to have really good characters in there. I thought they'd be really gimmicky because they always do these characters. They're like, I have no affinity with these cheesy characters, but they gameplay wise, this is going to be a fun game, man. 4-player co-op, open world with really meaty
it's not
gunplay,
like
great sound, good visuals, decent visuals.
It's not like Back 4 Blood, Gaz, right? Yeah. You don't play as the guy that wears the jean jacket and the girl that wears, the tank top. Like each character is very different. And when I played a lot of these 4-player online multiplayer co-op games where you're like, I'll just pick this character, and you don't want to say, gosh, I want to play as the one with the little robot
Everyone's
dog,
gonna fight
but
for
you're using that one.
Umbrella person. I don't know the name of the character.
Layla. Yeah,
is that the
Layla
name?
is the one I
Okay,
wanna use.
Layla.
Yeah.
Everyone's gonna play Layla. I'm shotgunning. I'm already fighting with people that I want to pick Layla because it's just like, and the other guy who froze the zombies. Well, zombies.
Oh yeah, that looked
vampires.
cool.
Which one's yours, Nick? What's your first pick?
Yeah, the turned into stone. That's a brilliant effect.
Yeah,
Brilliant
I
effect.
thought. I'll be honest. I didn't even take too much notice of the character specifically. I was just looking at the powers they all had. As soon as they all turned to stone, I was like, "That looks so cool. I just thought
that was cool.
Yeah, that was.
And the stealth,
the
the
game
stealth
looks good.
bit looks good as well. The game looks good, man. The game looks good. It just looks like I was so happy with that. I didn't expect that much of it. I've said it before in the run up to the show. I'm like, I'm not that hyped about Redfall based on the leaks. Well, completely wrong. Now I'm very hyped to play it, and that's on Game Pass, and going to play it with your friends. First day, it's going to be such. It's like when I first played Left 4 Dead, and me and 3 of my other friends didn't know what the game was about, and all 4 of us bought it, and I will always remember the first 10. One of the iconic gaming experiences were 10 for the first 10 minutes. We didn't know what this game was about. We didn't even we said, look, let's not check it out. Let's just buy the game. It's 4-player co-op. And for the first 10 to 15 minutes, we were screaming like little girls. And this game, obviously now we're pundits. We always look keeping abreast of the news. But that kind of, I get that vibes. The co-op is going to be wicked fun. I don't know how big this open world is going to be, what the scope is, what the story is going to be. It seems like it has a cogent story as well. So it hits all the vibes. This could be like a sleeper hit.
They were very quick to point out. I think I read an article this morning or late yesterday. They were also quick to point out that you can play single player just fine.
Yeah,
in this game, which is good because
well.
that was the other thing that worried me. It worried me that it was one of those games that forces you to have to play co-op with friends, and if you don't, you kind of suck. So it was good that they're also focusing on the single player portion as well. I'm looking forward to it. It looks like it wasn't really on my radar before.
Yeah, now it is.
But it definitely is now, and a
lot of people have said that.
For Arcane's sake, I hope it's also a big success. But it looks great. Looks really good.
They have those well-beloved games that don't sell 30 million copies, like Prey and Dishonored, and this. And Zocker's in the chat. I messaged Zocker after the show. And I said, "Bro, I was so wrong." The Greek, I love it. I messaged Zocker. I go, "Bro, I was so wrong." He's like, "Told you." Like he does, his voice.
Oh,
told you, bro.
I told you so is the worst.
You know how
thing.
he is.
You never want to be wrong with Zocker.
Right.
It's like, I told you, bruh. It's like, oh.
It's funny,
yep. It looks, and I was worried a little bit about. It is. I get it from Nick too. Redfall looks fantastic. I was not expecting it to open the show, and it looks really good.
Can we talk about a game that Zucker calls me a fraud for never playing, which I guess he's right. I have never played Diablo. I've never played a Diablo game. I've never played a Diablo game.
Never.
Interesting.
Yeah. And I'm itching to play Diablo 3, but I'm like fighting to not play it because I want to go deep into Diablo 4. Just day one. Diablo 4 looks incredible for someone who has never been enticed by Diablo as such. I was kind of going to go to Diablo 3, but they had all those errors and then the auction house controversy. I was like, okay, I'm not touching this.
Nah,
this is way too much.
It's still really good.
3's good.
I played it.
I know people played loads of that. But I'm just going to avoid it and play Diablo 4. Diablo 4 looks amazing. Just looks great in everything. Although the skill tree looks scary as hell. What the hell was that? It's like a trillion icons on the screen. I'm like, what?
Well, you played like level 300 or something in a Diablo game, don't you?
Yeah. Crazy.
That looks really good. Nick, what's the story with Diablo? What do you think Xbox is going to try to squeegee in with Diablo 4 when it releases?
Yeah.
Well, it's funny that I mean, they were in a position where they probably had to show Diablo 4, but obviously the ABK acquisition hasn't gone through yet. So it was funny seeing Diablo 4 didn't get the Game Pass label. But there's still a lot of time before that deal goes through. So I'm sure it will go into Game Pass once the acquisition's gone through.
I'm buying it day one, even without ABK.
I mean, you and Jez
Corden have day one.
You and Jez Corden have talked a little bit, Nick, about Xbox trying to, leverage. Hey, let's. What do you think about Game Pass? Do you think that's something that when the game launches? Well, when does it launch?
They didn't give a date, did they?
That's what I don't remember. It's so funny because normally when I watch a game showcase, I keep an actual piece of paper so I don't have to fiddle with my phone, and I make notes of what the game was, maybe like a description. I'm no journalist, and I'll just write launch exclusive or full exclusive, and if it's multi-plat, I'll just scratch it out because multi-plats don't matter. And but I watched the show, and I really didn't retain a lot of those little pieces of information.
Neither did I. I think I was just the last case of Benedict Fox just stuck in my head too much. I love that.
Oh, yeah, that was great. Keith in the movies in the chat says, he's like, I think there's stuff in the works for Diablo. We'll just take him at his, I think, because, sometimes people really want to dig into what's going on, and I can really appreciate that. And he says no date for Diablo. And 3, Keith, E3 next year. We're all going. Gaz is buying us milkshakes.
You still think E3 is going to happen next year?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
They
ESA already said they're doing
2022 E3 in March of this year as well.
Nick, the only thing that will stop.
Next year it's happening, and I'm there.
The only thing that will stop the next E3 is a brand new pandemic, I think.
And you never know. God forbid anything like that happens.
But they literally sent out emails saying E3 2022 is happening in March or
I know, but
February
this is COVID. It's very different. The transitional phase is over. And next year, it's going to be big. It's going to be big. And Keith Garlington is there, so I can punch... No, but because me and him always go back and forth on Twitter.
You'll love Keith. Keith is a good dude. So, yeah, I know.
Can't handle critique on the Xbox, Keith. You can't
Dante just said, don't go jinx us, bro. Dante, we're doing it. We're going to go.
I think that's the ESA putting out the flare. Yeah, wanting all the big companies to get on board from nice and early. I wouldn't be so confident that it's
Bro, listen,
happen.
Look.
You know what, Nick?
I'm sorry, but Jeff Keighley didn't Jeff Keighley Summer Game Fest, respect him, he didn't he tried his best, but it didn't do the E3. It didn't do as soon as the show ended. No, but this was a unique opportunity for him to really go and put the death knell on E3. And he didn't do that because immediately after the show ended, everyone was like, you know what? Even people who were very apathetic to E3 before, like, you know what? We need E3 back. We need E3 back because the spectacle is quite important. So I'm on the optimist side. If E3 happens next year.
I hope so.
I know you do. But I think it will happen. I think it will happen.
I talked to Jeff Keighley, and he told me the same gosh dang thing that Matt Booty said. Are you guys ready? Are you listening?
Yeah.
This will put a lot of excuses to rest. I told Jeff, I said, I really enjoyed the show. And I said, I really liked the stage. It was very cool. No, because I didn't love the show. So I wanted to be cool with him and honest. I said, I really liked the show. Stage was great. And I said, thank you for highlighting that some games were not able to make it because it's been rough. And he goes, you know what? That's the thing with the games industry right now. Everything's getting delayed. And then the next day when I talked to Matt Booty, he said the crummy thing about the games industry right now is everything is getting delayed. So for anyone who wants to tell you that PlayStation doesn't, why am I wearing these? That PlayStation doesn't have this problem. Keep in mind that right now, most of PlayStation's offerings have been continuations of games they did in the PS4 era.
It's true.
You know, and Horizon Forbidden West, God of War's expanded, full-featured standalone game built off of 2018's. 2018's God of War expansion into a full new campaign, which takes a lot of work, but not like making a game from the ground up, right, Nick? It's going to take them nearly 5 years. Yeah. Am I wrong, Nick?
Well, so God of War came out, April 2018. We're now 4 years from there. But, I mean...
about 4 and a half.
I mean, that's also very iterative from 2018. It's quite close to what that game was. But, you know, I'm not trying to downplay God of War, but that's a whole different ball game. Yeah. And, you know, and that might get delayed as well. And I'm telling you, like, you know, PlayStation isn't as rosy. I know I'm not excusing Xbox, but You're right there, and Matt Booty's right there. Can I just ask this? You sat there with them. I would have approached this very different. I know it's difficult because they're nice. They invited you there, and they're there. You don't want to be a
Gaz.
Yeah, a Gaz. You don't want to be a Gaz there, but I just wouldn't be able to help myself. But it's such a unique opportunity to just like,
Pretend
yo,
I'm
Phil.
Matt Booty and ask me what you're going to ask me. Go ahead. Hold on, let me get handsome.
Like, I was like, why, like, the show, this is after the show. The show ended.
Yes.
I would have said the same thing I've said, obviously, publicly. I said, man, you didn't show a single AAA first-party game. Why didn't you show it? Like, what's going on? Are these studios in trouble? Because you're not showing the work.
We wanted to show everything that's coming in the next 12 months. And then after that, it'll be time for the next show, and we'll show more games.
You know, like, prod him a little bit, like, come on, what's happening in
Yes.
Perfect Dark? Did you know?
Oh, no, I did not. No, I did not. I did not prod him about Perfect Dark. I actually did not even think of I don't even remember Perfect Dark yesterday until you just said it, actually.
Just want some confidence. Like, the community just wants to hear a little bit about
I stood up from the event, and I said, I looked over at Hargeet and Dante and Dark CMF, and I said, Sean the Bree. There it goes. Those guys are amazing. And I said, no Avowed. And they go, no Fable. And then we said, no Indiana Jones.
No State of Decay. We're like, what are these guys doing?
I didn't expect State of Decay there.
You have to ask these questions, man. I don't know.
A little bit.
That's so nice as well. They don't want to hear that.
Sleeping Vistas, the Australian 5 says, Cole, I went to the Melbourne Fan Fest. It was a cold, miserable night outside. Lots of fun inside. What freebies did you get? We got a blanket sweatshirt. I got some pins. I got this shirt. I didn't go
to the Melbourne one.
Yeah, you should have gone. Why didn't you go?
Because I didn't want to go out there in the middle of the night. It's bloody cold here. It's funny.
Oh, yeah.
Though,
What time was it? 2 a.m?
3 a.m.
3 a.m.
And the funny thing is, so they flew Major Nelson down to Melbourne for our event here. I went to the football yesterday, and Major Nelson was that they must have taken him to a footy game so he could experience a football game. And man, they picked a good one for him to go to. I saw his Twitter, and he took a photo from the football. He was in a box or whatever, one of the special boxes. It wasn't out with the plebs with us. But yeah, it was good. I would have loved to have been able to bump into him, but yeah. Major Nelson down here.
No Halo. Like, there was talk about Halo talking about what their single player roadmap is.
That's good.
It might come out tomorrow. They might show it tomorrow. They might show Halo tomorrow. It's better for that tomorrow anyway.
I'm with Nick. I did my video not even bringing up Halo because I thought Halo shouldn't be at the show. They need to cool off.
Yeah,
Nick, can you agree?
Yeah.
Yes, for sure. Like,
do you think they'll be at the second show, Nick?
That would be if you're even gonna bother showing Halo anywhere, the second show would be the place to show it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, good.
For sure.
Well, that's a good decision then. Dark CMF, the $10 says, Nick is correct. Stuff was cut. Matt said so. It will be shown on Tuesday, perhaps. It was to make Tuesday better.
Oh,
Maybe.
About that.
I doubt it.
I don't know about that.
I don't think. Yeah.
I was told.
I'll be pleasantly surprised. I hope
I
I'm
was
wrong.
told, and I think Jez would know this too, and I think even Miles is aware. I was told that the video was completed very, very last minute, as in the day before.
Wow.
And usually that's a sign that something's probably been cut.
Okay.
So that's why I suspect that Avowed was cut, and especially Indiana Jones, because, like I said, Machine Games were tweeting about their excitement.
They were.
Yeah.
And In Exile were flat out saying they're not there.
Yeah.
So that leads me to believe that something that Machine Games is working on was cut.
Look, Microsoft, why don't you just make us sign the most rawest NDA, like all three of us? We won't, you'll legally destroy our collective anuses if we mess it up. And then we can at least say to people in the community, yo, you know what? Everything's fine. I can't tell you anything. It's fine. Trust me. I'm a habitual whinger, right? You know, I'm not going to cooperate. That was a bit late. But just like, just something that we can go say to little guys, just shut up. Everything is fine. I can't talk about it, but it's sick. Obviously, everyone's gonna be like, "You're just shilling it at this point," but I will never do that. But I will sign the NDA, tell everyone it's okay. Phil, just do it yourself, man. I just want to know. It's frustrating.
Yeah, Nick's right. They did make changes, but it would have been a couple of days before because people I talked to said that they had seen the show in full a couple of times for the past day or so. But Nick's like right on with those changes, and you don't hold something really amazing for Tuesday, so Tuesday looks good because that Monday is where everyone. If you got all eyes on you on Sunday, Tuesday you're gonna have half the eyes, if that. Let's see, we got Elemental Pino. Thank you so much for the $5 super assist. Do you guys think Game Pass should get its own showcase event, and Microsoft Studios get their own in terms of content? No, because Game Pass is its own platform, as we saw, right, Gaz, at this Keighley show.
Yeah.
Right? You see it as this is coming to Game Pass. Interesting.
No, I reckon that's a good point. I reckon Microsoft could very easily do a dedicated Game Pass show that functions just like a Nintendo Direct.
But isn't everything in Game Pass, anything that comes to Xbox that is in Game Pass is coming to Xbox? I don't know if that really if that works the way I say that, like if you're doing an Xbox Game Pass event, you're doing an Xbox show. But Elemental Pio and Nick have a great point because we saw games in the show that I don't know if we were going to talk about, Riot Games and some other things that only come to PC Game Pass. And I'm like, let me say this. What are you doing, Xbox? Why are you showing amazing games like League of Legends and Valorant, amazing super hot games, and saying PC Game Pass down here? And you don't even say we'd like or coming to console soon. I don't even think you want those to bother with those games on console. You're only going to put them on PC Game Pass. Guess what? 95 or 90% of your audience in that theater and the people watching that moment are on Xbox. That's my prediction. They want to see what's on Xbox, and maybe they dabble a lot of games on PC, but your core audience. Nick,
that's the thing.
Correct me.
That's the irony of it. Like, technically, if we're going to be technical about it, that whole Riot Games segment, that whole thing where you get all this stuff unlocked with Game Pass, that's actually a really big deal.
It's
and
huge
that's coming
deal.
from someone who doesn't play on PC. I've got no interest in Riot Games.
Yeah.
But even I acknowledge that is a big deal. Having said that, no one watching cared. Like,
I think
I know what Nick means. I agree with him.
I will say I will forgive them. I say forgive them for that. I understand that because I think people need to. At some point, you can't. They're not doing this. They're not treating PC gamers as second-class citizens. This is really big,
it is.
and I think it's okay to have that because that is huge. That's gonna if anything's gonna cause PC numbers to go really high. That's a very clever move.
Correct. That's absolutely huge. And I tried to preface that. That's League of Legends, Valorant alone are gigantic for Game Pass. But why in the heck aren't you saying we are exploring for the first time these games on console? That would be really big. And I think your audience needs to hear something like that.
Especially Valorant.
Valorant
because League of Legends doesn't translate
well on a controller.
Does it? No, it doesn't.
Be fine.
Valorant?
Aiming is like Counter-Strike. The same reason Counter-Strike doesn't translate well to console. It's not unless you have aim assist that kind of kills the point.
Overwatch.
What do you mean
Overwatch
and Valorant are not the same?
Popular.
No. Counter-Strike and
Fortnite,
Valorant are on
PUBG.
PC and big for a reason.
Quit gatekeeping.
I'm sorry, I don't agree with that.
I'm just kidding.
It's very sweaty. Yes, it is. It's a keyboard and mouse game. Thank you.
You know what?
It is.
It's that whole cross-platform thing. If you don't think it's going to work, let them on console only.
You can use keyboard and mouse on Xbox.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, how many people can do that, man? No one's going to do.
I don't care. I don't care. I said
would be huge on console. Does anyone play Counter-Strike on console?
I don't care.
Bought that one day one.
Bring the OG World of Warcraft.
I've still got it on OG Xbox.
Yeah.
Bring the OG World of Warcraft to Xbox consoles and say no controller support, and just say sorry, but it's on console if you want to. Someone will plug in a keyboard and play it on their console.
I bought it foolishly as well. No one plays it. No one. League could work. League, I reckon, could work, but you click a lot there. But maybe. But it's race. That's fine. In my opinion, I think that's okay. I think it's okay.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Like the chat saying, on a controller, Valorant wouldn't. It's so precise. Like, who is this here? Rain says, Cole, Valorant is a tactical shooter that requires absolute precision. The game would be so lackluster on console. So what?
Yes.
Let all the console guys be on even playing ground. They'd have so much fun. It's not precise enough for me. Go play it on PC.
He's right. He's right. It's not fun because of that. Just
let me move on because I'm not going to play Valorant, but it is a big deal. But gosh, dang it. Get some games on console as well. Rick Gaffney with the £2 super says, Gaz, you can buy that cup from the Xbox Game Gear store. They told me
as a reminder for me that this year's show was No, I'm not going to buy that cup. Sorry. I like the way it looks, but I'm not buying that cup. Yeah. Sorry. It looks lovely, though. I'm sorry.
I just blocked Gaz on Twitter. Lord Sin Eater, welcome to the early access for the Colteastwood membership channel. Thank you for joining. Well, there's also monthly giveaways for merch where if you get picked, I just send you a link to the store and say pick something. I'll ship it to your house and I'll hand deliver it. It'll be great. But thank you for doing that. Viper XT says, Cole, how was the reaction to Persona coming on Xbox? Everyone went nuts at FanFest in Toronto. There were people screaming and yelling. I'll never play it, but the tears. I could feel the tears flowing all the way to LA. Michael Mooney with the 20-pound super chat says, including the games confirmed yesterday in Activision Blizzard, there's believed to be 60 projects in development with up to 12. Yes, that's probably right. With 12 games a year, release schedule means a 5-year roadmap that is growing. Nick, how's he on his math here? About 60 games in development, maybe about 12 a year. Do you believe in that? There was 50 at one time in Klobrill's in his infographic where he had all the logos. First party and partnerships, yeah. Timed exclusives, Xbox Game Studios Publishing, Activision and Bethesda, blah blah blah. What do you think about those numbers?
It's a lot of games. It's just the thing is when they put out numbers like that, it makes 2022 seem even more like, I don't know, it just makes 2022 seem even stranger. Like that you can have that many games allegedly in development, but then have nothing for an entire year.
Is that it? What was the number? Sorry, I phased out there. What's the number?
60
projects in development.
But they can't show
with
one
about 12 games.
That's what I'm saying. That's what makes 2022 seem even more odd.
Nick, how many games from Xbox Game Studios are releasing in 2022, starting from January to December 31st?
This year, none.
None.
Isn't it none?
Has that ever happened before
for
Xbox?
Think so. I don't.
This is quite literally the worst year they've had, but you have to go back and watch the show and clock everything that's coming this next week all the way until the end of the year for Game Pass. Some of the stuff is unique to Xbox. D-Crew with the $20 super. Thank you so much, D-Crew. Good guy. Hope you're feeling better, my friend. He says, when Starfield comes out, we are going to be on a multiple-day bender and reliving our youth.
What a perfect segue to talk about Starfield.
Yes,
Starfield. I just want to talk about this game, not about these magical 60 games. Starfield's gonna be lit, man. Oh man, Nick's putting me off.
All right, go ahead, guys. Take us through it. You're watching it live.
Yeah.
Take us through your reaction.
Oh man, Starfield is good. Starfield was so epic to me. Oh god. Starfield is gonna be epic, man. Starfield, I was astounded by Starfield. I knew it was gonna be big, and did the question of my mind of like 20 years in the making, is this like just marketing spiel? But I loved, I mean, I was, the scope of, first of all, I'll get the negative out of the way. The frame rate was disgusting. I'm like, what is that?
Yeah,
like, that's really
wasn't
bad.
great.
That's really janky.
Now, Verts, before
Really
you
janky.
say that, they chose to show this in quality mode. So it was sharp. It was at 30 frames. And I thought, wow, it kind of looks like I'm watching like Interstellar. Like it was like I was watching a movie, but I want to see this thing at 60 frames. But it wasn't.
I mean,
go ahead, Gaz.
At this point, I'll take a locked 30. I'll take a locked 30. Give me locked 30. I'll be fine. Because the game is so incredible in terms of okay, let me say this. For any idiot out there who is making comparisons with No Man's Sky in an attempt to deride or dilute what Starfield is, ignoring the scope of the game, the full narrative focus of the game, customization, all that stuff, you're an idiot. Because Starfield is so much more than just No Man's Sky. It's No Man's Sky is plus on crack. Just, it's amazing. It's like, you got now I understand what they meant, like Skyrim in space. Now I get what they're going for. The scope of this, there are concerns about how they handle the procedurally generated worlds and how they make that meaningful content, but they can have a core content that is brimming with so much. You know, we had those early leaks when they said there's going to be an abundance of content. Now I understand what they're talking about. Even gunplay, despite the frame rate, looked really solid. I was worried about the VATS kind of slow gameplay of gunplay, but no, it looks more proficient than Cyberpunk. Visually, whilst it's
Nice call.
Yeah, no, it was. It seemed less thingy than Cyberpunk. Like visually, some effects were weird. The character animations aren't like they look a little bit wooden, like typical kind of thing. But they still
you
look
can do
beautiful.
third person, but you may not want to stay in third person very long. Nick, take us take it from Gaz from here. How are you reacting to Starfield in the moment?
Look, anyone who watches our show would be aware that I've never really been super excited about Starfield. I'm just not a big open world, hundreds of hours RPG type of guy. I think it looked nice outside of the frame rate. But aside from that, nothing about it had me super pumped. But that's just a me thing. That's not that Starfield didn't look nice or anything like that. Visually, it looked fine.
I'm not a massive open world guy as well, but I will book at least when you actually give me a solid release date and I need some advance notice, I can book some time off work. I will book time off work. I will take a week off work to play Starfield and sync. That's the problem with me. I don't get time. Like I need to come home. I will squeeze some game time or make videos or whatever. But I will take a week off of Starfield, at least a week off, because there's so much content. I want to be sucked into this world. Look at the light. Look at the visually. The lighting was beautiful. The sheer variety.
Somebody goes, it looks so hazy, but I love Control. Guess what? It's using the exact same camera filter that Control and Quantum Break use. That cold or that pale blue camera filter. That's what Starfield decided to use. They used that foggy blue, which I don't like that, but you're not gonna be able to turn that off unless you mod it. But I still
and there will
think
be
it looks
mods
great.
for that game. I think it's going to be amazing, man. Like the vibes, NASA Punk. I get what they're talking about. Interstellar vibes. You went to some planet and they show these alien artifacts. You got the factions. You can align with them. There's so much depth, so many characters, so many game worlds, 1,000 game worlds. How are they going to do it? Maybe they could do it like, you know, the community builds content in the worlds and they populate it there. You don't get games like PlayStation doesn't has anything remotely even close to what Starfield is. Not one game in scope that comes close.
Shout out to Fonz
Starfield.
really in the chat. I was watching him interact with the wonderful scholaristic people of Twitter about the comparisons to Horizon Forbidden West and No Man's Sky and Starfield. Fonz knows full well, just like I do, I am so excited about diving into this this universe, building my ship, creating my character. Oh my gosh, I'm going to sit there for 30 minutes and make this face in the game, and I'm going to love it. We got to talk about, Nick, how they chose not to voice the character, which I think is fantastic. And someone said, Nick, today someone said, your main character does not have a voiceover, so you'll read the line and choose it like you did in the old Fallout games and Skyrim, right? Okay. So the comparison is, no way in 2022 am I playing a game where the main character does not have a voice. And Fonzarelli smacked some guy on Twitter and said, but you loved Elden Ring in 2022. Nick,
oh, really?
You're not into huge RPGs, but can you give us your opinion about if the character is voiced or not? You've played games for a long time.
I mean, the silent protagonist thing can still work. I don't think that's... The silent protagonist isn't a technology-limited thing. Like, we've had protagonists that talk all the way back many, many years ago, but it's something that you choose on a game-by-game basis. Sometimes it'll work. It worked infamously. Infamous isn't the right word, but it worked in Half-Life, and everyone loved it in Half-Life. Halo, the Master Chief's technically not silent, but he's very, very minimal on the chatter in those first few Halo games, and it works in Halo. It's a game-by-game thing, and in the end, we have to trust Bethesda to know what's best for their game in the end. When it works really well. As Fonzarelli is saying in the chat now, worked great in BioShock. BioShock's one of my favorite games ever.
Cool.
BioShock was amazing. But the other thing, because again, we don't know enough about Starfield yet, but usually with the silent protagonist in these big games, there's generally a counter to it. So in Halo, yes, Master Chief says very little, but Cortana's like nonstop. She's just like, ba 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 ba. So that's the counter. In BioShock, yes, it's a silent protagonist, but then you've got what's his face over the speaker constantly, and you've got all the audio logs. So there's still talk. It's just not coming from the protagonist. So I don't know how Starfield's going to do it. Is Starfield going to have someone constantly in your ear talking, which is why your protagonist doesn't need to say much? It's just...
And then you have Aloy from Horizon Forbidden West and Horizon Zero Dawn. Like, she's constantly in an inner monologue, talking to herself.
Lara Croft, always talking.
Yes.
They built this incredible, amazing game with the multiple worlds and all these incredible systems, customization, ship, make your base there, and all these characters. And these guys are talking about voiceless characters. I'm not saying I don't know what.
Can I ask you guys about the character models themselves? I have a really strong opinion of how they showed the NPCs. Gaz, let me start with you first. What did you think of the in-game character models that you interact with?
Yeah, they look sometimes a little bit stiff, but in terms of visually, I thought they were good for the scope. You have to understand what the game is, man. The game, to me, I thought they looked nice. For what it is, it looked better than what it was. They did
something with the eyes. They were really they had a lot
lifeless.
No, I thought they looked more lifelike than they did in Fallout 4. They had reflections off of the eyeballs, which brought the characters to life. But I also got, Nick, I don't know if you played much of Outer Worlds. It's kind of like Outer Worlds, but it looks a little sharper. Did you pay much attention to how the characters looked that you'll be talking to?
I get what people were complaining about. Horizon Zero Dawn had a similar thing where the faces just looked kind of dead. Like, it was weird, and the facial animation wasn't the best. Animation, I would argue, plays a bigger role than actual model detail in terms of how it looks. You can have the most detailed facial model in the world, but if it animates like garbage, it's still not going to look great. And vice versa. You can have a model that's okay, it's not super detailed, but animates beautifully, and the lip sync is perfect, and people won't notice how it looks because it just animates so well. These models looked like the first issue, where the actual detail on the model seemed pretty good, but they just seemed kind of stiff in the animation department. So I think that's what people were probably noticing.
Yeah, it's interesting that people are comparing them to other games. But yeah, what
That's
were you saying?
so dumb. That's so stupid. You compare it to Horizon, you morons. Like, what's the Horizon? Can you? What? Look at the scope of the two games. It's not even funny. Like, well, should we compare the scope of the two games? We're gonna absolutely get clapped. It's not even in the same realm. PlayStation.
The interaction,
combined.
My problem with Horizon Forbidden West was Ayla would come up to an NPC, a main person that runs this village or runs this kingdom, and she'd say, just got out from shooting down a robot dinosaur or whatever, and the guy would go, over here in this tribe, this necklace was handmade by a lizard named Juman, and we need you to go out and get some chicken weed. And
anyone who did that is an idiot.
And I was like, I was so bored of dialogue, but I know Bethesda, and you'll get the memes, you'll get the great interaction, you get to pick what you say, and it actually changes the game. Like some of these action RPGs, like Horizon or Far Cry, they let you choose something to say, and then it just circles around immediately to where they want you to go. They just try to give you a little bit of flexibility. The scope, guys, you're nailing it. The scope. I'm going to go through some super chats here, but the scope is so much bigger is the word. Risk of the biscuit. Special Nick Collingwood sucks. Go to the Eagles.
Oh, whatever, mate. You guys are... The West Coast Eagles are currently like the worst team statistically in like the history of the entire sport. So I don't think Risk It for the Biscuit should be saying too much right now.
Leave it at that. That's good. And I don't know what he's talking about. I have no idea.
I don't even know what football he's talking about.
I don't know.
Australian rules football.
Cricket.
Australian rules football.
Okay. I know a little bit about that. Okay. Spooky Sprocket with the Australian $8 says, just want to say hello to the Rockstar Cult, Gaz, the Crazy Sauce Sniffer, and Aussie Nick, just for Nick. Aussie, oi, much love. And then he comes this. Spooky Sprocket is a rocker, and that's what I like. Danny Passion Official with the $2 says, Gaz went to see gameplay of games that are Gaz wants to see gameplay of games that are 3 years away. No, that's not.
Are they 3 years away? State of Decay 3 years away? About 3 years, Fable 3 years away? All these games are 3 years away? Oh, but they announced them in 2018. What? It's just stupid, man. Just
remember, chat.
Control.
None of these games have been canceled. Hey, Everwild didn't even show up. But it's that 12-month rule.
Everwild gone back to the drawing boards, man.
That was never going to show up.
Yeah,
that's right.
Oh, man.
How's that even happen?
I think, both of us have said that. For all three of us. No Everwild. Poochie with the $10 says they gave us tons of gameplay. Yes, but not the games we wanted to see. They had ample opportunities to manage these expectations, and they didn't. I agree with Gaz fully. Also, sign my Series X. Laugh out loud.
I'll do it.
Gaz, go autograph his console, or that's a euphemism, but get the Sharpie marker and make it happen.
Yeah. The
black marker. Robert Dillon with the $5 says Riot Games is coming to Xbox Game Pass console. Can't wait for League of Legends on my console. Well, Robert Dillon knows more than I do because it doesn't look like he's coming to console, and Nick says don't do it. Alvin with the $5 says Riot Games, Persona, and Minecraft communities have been on fire for 30 straight hours. They did exactly what they were trying to do. So those people are happy, Alvin's saying. Good for those. And that's a lot of people, though. We put ourselves in this box and say, I need this. And I know that stuff over there is really important, but I'm more important than them. No, I'm just kidding. Dark Sea Math with $5 says, mentioned in the chat, but there were over 11,000 series consoles sold in Japan last week, which is more than 10% of Xbox One sold to date.
1,100.
11,000 Series X consoles sold in Japan last week, according to Dark CMF. Which is more than 10%.
That's amazing. They're doing some stuff. I'm astounded by that. I know some people will laugh at the numbers, but that is quite a lot if you've been following what Japan is. And Xbox, well done, Phil, for recognizing that. Double down on it. Make Lost Odyssey 2. Just do it. Just do it. But shout out to Phil for me. You know, Phil. Yeah. I like Phil. The fact that he can compel the board, to make Xbox One. Phil Spencer saved Xbox, let's be honest. But to go to Japan and make a use case for that, such an uphill task. And it looks like they're reaping the rewards of those efforts already. Although, in my opinion, they're just starting. but well done. Like, that's incredible. The Series S is a masterstroke. So keep going, keep going,
Yes,
keep going.
and Japan gaming fans have every right to just not even consider an Xbox, but that's changing. It's so weird, and there's small numbers, but something's happening there. It's really cool. It just means like, hey, we recognize Xbox. It's a viable product, and hey, whatever. That's really cool. I love seeing him share that on Twitter. Wolf Assassin, thank you so much for the $10 super. Says Xbox needs 3 showcases, one for gameplay, one for games in the 12 months like Starfield, and one's for further out like Fable and Avowed or the live service announcements. And he says hashtag be nice. Yeah, I would love for them to do something like, here was your 12-month thing, but I think, Nick, they're going to show a couple of non-12-month announcements, 1 or maybe 2 at the Game Awards in December. What do you think on that one?
Game Awards, yes. Game Awards for sure. The Game Awards, or at least to me, the Game Awards has effectively become the new E3, especially over the last couple of years. To me, that's the show now where everyone looks forward. Yeah, but, I mean, let's be real. The Game Awards is barely even about the awards. Everyone watches it for the trailers and the announcements and stuff. Like, they gave away half the awards before it started. For me, the last couple of years, the Game Awards has replaced E3. And I've actually been quite surprised by how much Microsoft has put into the Game Awards. I mean, they revealed the Series X there.
Yeah.
They've shown Hellblade twice now. I feel like Hellblade now, you're only ever going to see Hellblade at the Game Awards. That's what it feels like now. Because they showed gameplay. I know it was heavily scripted. It was a heavily scripted sequence. But they showed what was technically gameplay of Hellblade at the Game Awards last year. Yet we didn't get anything yesterday. Which I find a bit odd. And where's Project Mara? Which was supposed to be the smaller little thing. So Ninja Theory is a weird one like that. Because
there are some red flags. Like they talked about how they went back to Iceland to grab some more stuff. It's like, oh man, that means another year. I don't know. Who knows? Hargy Johnny with the $10 says, thank you, Hargy. He says, with ABK and possibly more at some point, the E3 stage for Xbox is going to have major games. They need another shows to go over seasonal updates, indie games. Xbox will need more shows. They need one more show, I think. They need one more. Danny,
why not have XO?
There you go. I thought, you know what? I'm going to hope and predict that XO is coming this year. I think
me too.
This Sunday was a good reason to go ahead and do XO if they can get it ready in time. They said they started all the major planning for this show we just had on Sunday. They started that in January.
Yeah.
5 months.
They do.
So if they work really hard and hire Nick, they can have XO this year. Jenny Passion Official with the $5 says, I disagree as a business owner with marketing, a lot of marketing experience. They have to also show what's making them money. The show's for everyone. Yes, I know. But your audience is the one who amplifies. Your hardcore audience will amplify the message. They'll be pushing the internet. Risk it for the biscuit.
Gaming is a very different medium to like that. It cascades down from core, no matter gamers, no matter how much you want to say otherwise.
Most of you watching this show, the vast majority of the people watching this show right now, they are the person in their circle that people come to for gaming advice. Oh, what should I buy? What's the latest game?
Yep.
What's this? What's that? You're all the ones that it all trickles down from. So that's what we mean when we were saying earlier, the show is meant to be for all of us that would watch this show. Yeah. That's why we were saying, why have Sea of Thieves there? None of us are selling Sea of Thieves to other people. We're getting excited about the Hellblades, and we're getting excited about Spider-Mans and Wolverines. That's that sort of stuff.
Agreed.
And that's what they need to understand.
Very well put. Very well put. Risky for the biscuit with the Australian $8 says Xbox hurt themselves in 21 and didn't know it. That's a hard show to follow. This show is never going to be at that level. Could have been better though. I think they could be at that level. But a lot of this rides on the rule that they decided was this is your 12 months. And you know what? Normally, most everyone else, PlayStation, most importantly, never gives you everything that's coming in the next 12 months. They give you stuff that you're going to see again at the next E3 and the next. But then again, Gaz, where is PlayStation? We never
might
know
be-
when they're going to do something.
And they will this summer. I'm confident. And if they don't,
Probably
July.
September. Probably September.
September. Oh yeah, well yeah, just the summertime. Yeah.
As
What,
far
they're
as a
going to
big
show
one, as far as a
Ragnarok
big
at a
one.
state of play next month? Let me
Forza.
ask that really quick. I do not want to linger on that. We've done that like 3 times in a row. But Nick, I'll just ask Nick. Is Ragnarok coming this November like the leaks are hoping and promising?
Up until very, very recently, and I mean, if anyone watches our show, you'll see me have said it, I was like 100% confident God of War was coming this year. Stuff I had been told led me to believe that God of War was like 100% this year.
Yeah.
I'm no longer 100% sure, but I'm still probably 85% sure it's coming this year. But I'm not quite as confident as I was anymore.
Okay.
But it'll get its own state of play, just like Horizon did, just like Gran Turismo.
If it does, it's got to be next month, though, Nick. I think if it's coming out this year, the state of play has to be next month so that they can give them that 4-month buffer for release. That's my prediction.
Why?
They did that. They did that before for their last.
We don't have to do it again.
No, they didn't. Gran Turismo and Horizon's state of plays were like right before release, like a month.
But didn't they have a release date? I'm talking about the release date announcement.
Oh, the release date, right? Well, yeah, yeah, that's true. They probably do need a bit more time.
So
Don't they?
I mean, that really comes down to Gaz. That really comes down to if they're going to give a release date somehow and then say state of play is coming, or if they do it all at once. I just assume they do it all at once.
Nothing's set in stone. I have a sneaking suspicion it'll slip 2022, but
Okay,
that's not
we're
based
kind of
on
split
any
on that.
insider
I like that.
info or anything. I don't know anything. I'm just guessing.
Hey, shout out to over 1,100 people here watching the show. Thank you so much for supporting, and hit the like button if you're having a good time. It's weird, some of the stuff we're talking about, and it's a full day after the show. And if you're just joining, I just got home from LA. I left this morning at 10 o'clock. Now it's 5 p.m., 10 a.m. It's 5 or 6 p.m., 7 p.m. It's late.
It's 10 past
super
7 for
late.
you now, isn't it?
I've got Gaz here really, really a long time.
It's late for Gaz. Gaz is
very
the one
late.
where it's like late. It's like 1
It's past
1
3 a.m.
It's
It's past
3
3 a.m.
3
a.m.
3. Wow.
Let me read these. Boba Fett with Australia Intensive 12-month scope is fine, but there should have been an extended roadmap of games as well. The people that spent in real life money to tune in and attend the event deserve better. Well, I was there at the event. It was fantastic being there. Well worth my time. What was I going to say about the extended roadmap? One thing I was upset about, Nick, was there was not a one more thing before you go.
I know. I was hoping for it. I was hoping for GoldenEye for that. Dun, dun, dun. That just, come on. How good would that have been if right at the end you just heard that Bond intro? That would have been huge.
That would have been so good for you because you love that so much. But Nick, what the heck? Why didn't they have that one last thing?
I don't know. Because they don't get it. They don't get it. I've been saying it for 2 years on our show. Microsoft don't get it. They just don't understand. They don't. It's just, I don't know. Even Nintendo gets it. And they do it at their directs. They're always like, oh, and before we go. And then they'll have some hype thing. That horse
Doesn't get it. I'm Nick. Special Nick.
Oh my gosh.
That's what Phil Spencer sees. Like, why do you have these guys there? They're so crapping on everything. And then the funny thing is people
there are people in the chat or that are listening that like, oh, why do they have to highlight the stuff that didn't work? They do listen. And even if you have 4 followers or you have 4,000 or whatever, if you speak up reasonably and say, you should save something for that one last thing, or say that should have been in the show. Like, they are
at this
listening.
point, one last thing is a given. How do you not do a one last thing?
Yeah,
I was like, if you watch
Special
that
K,
one last
hold on. Special K, don't sit here on my show and call me a name. Starfield was not their one last
What a
thing.
name.
Starfield 100% required to be at that event. It was not their one last
Wait,
surprise.
did he say Starfield was their one last thing?
Yes.
No.
What?
No.
Look, I already forgot his name. Special K, if you would like to come here on the show I'll give you the reins. You can do the show. And no,
That
bro.
was a stupid point. That was a stupid point. That was a stupid point.
They should have had something special. Nick, I really think they should have asked Playground, don't overextend yourself, but give us a little flyover for 1 minute of a part of the environment that looks great and that's finished, because that's definitely a thing that exists, and say, in game of the world of Fable, fly over it for maybe 30 seconds or 1 minute, fade to black, and say, we'll see you soon.
Fill more pockets in the chat is right.
I like that.
Like, if we base it purely on the content that was scheduled for that show, Kojima's appearance should have been the one more thing.
Oh, okay. I mean,
if you base it purely on what was in there, like looking back in hindsight now, knowing what's in that show, Kojima's thing should have been the one more thing.
Good.
Said,
good on
before
both
we
of you.
go,
Yeah.
Before we go, we have a special partner of ours, an iconic developer, all those things that Phil said. It was Phil, wasn't it?
Yeah.
An iconic developer, blah, 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 blah. We're thrilled to be working with him, and he just wants to say something before we go. And then there's Kojima.
And before we show him,
been the way
he's leaving PlayStation.
Yeah.
No,
it's the same content they showed, but rejigged that way.
Yeah.
It's way more effective.
I like that.
It's
I like
showmanship. That. It's like, boom.
That's
it's
right.
You have to understand. That's right. Yeah.
And chat, I ask you to speak out about this stuff because, reasonably, because I think sometimes the chat, like they just showed, they have some of the best ideas, and somebody's going to hear it. Hey, maybe Xbox takes it and says it's their own idea, but we'll all be better off for it, I think. Let me get back to the super here. Darth Vinyl 93 says, thank you for the $10, Darth. He says, Redfall definitely surprised me. I'm now genuinely excited. Starfield looks amazing, but I'm glad it got delayed further for polish. Anyone else stoked for Scorn?
I am. I'm not stoked.
Sort of.
Stoked is a strong word, but I'm intrigued. I like the devs have taken like their risks, or like the creativity of it. It's gonna be. I like it. Can't wait to try it. I can't wait to try it, but I will try.
It's one of those games that Xbox says, "Hey, can we get this on the platform?" And they're gonna build it for. They're gonna put it on Xbox first. I think it would go to PlayStation eventually, but. He says, love the show, guys. Thank you. Thank you, Darth. We appreciate that. Lucky Mo the 5 says, Xbox show is a 12-month plan. They're not going to talk about anything beyond that. I love the show. What I see is $15 a month for all these games. As Paris says, the best value in gaming. Flush Jackson with a $10 says, if the structure of the show was an English essay assignment, it would have been a first draft and full of red ink. Ooh, arrows pointing everywhere and question marks. A ton of room for improvement. I like that, Flush Jackson. I still enjoyed it. I still really enjoyed it. Let me just give you visually what I thought of the show from stage up here at the beginning. It was really great. And then it dipped down. And then it came back up and had a great ending. I was fantastically excited and surprised. Gaz can talk about the frame rate drops. I was looking at all of the scope and what I really felt like I can hold the controller and I know what we're going to get with Starfield. Somebody asked in chat earlier, will you be able to take off and fly your ship, or will it be a cutscene? You'll be able to take off.
Good question.
You will be able to take off in real time and fly wherever you want on those planets.
Can you literally
I'm pretty sure you'll be able to fly, take off, go fly without a cutscene or third-person camera.
I would forgive the frame rate for that. Yeah, I would love that. Real-time flying through the atmosphere and going into that would be crazy.
The only thing that would be out of your control would be when you hyper boost or whatever.
Oh, I hope they have that. That's such a nerdy thing for me, but I want to see frame shit. Oh, just like
where your face goes.
That's one of the coolest things in sci-fi is when the ships go. When they just come in. Oh, and like the frame shift drive in Elite Dangerous, the sound design of that, you can hear the rattling of the ship. It's so scary. It's very Interstellar. It's just like you're going through that wormhole scene. Like that's like you should do that when you're high. Yeah, you should just do it. That's
yes. I talked to Miles Dampierre about it, and he said he was mildly excited for Starfield. Well, he said one of the things that he was a little iffy about was there wasn't anything super over the top in Starfield. Everything seemed like very realistic. Nick, do you think? Well, I'm not sure, Nick, if you're like a super expert at Bethesda games, but you think they'll have some over the top, crazy encounters or creatures? Because we saw some stuff that looked like it could exist on planet Zorkron.
I mean, you'd think within the context of the delay and the fact that it was the first time they were showing the game off, you would think that if there was any of that kind of stuff, it would have been in that trailer. I would have.
I think it's going for a more realistic kind of vibe.
Yeah.
I want to see the 2001: A Space Odyssey obelisk or monument that makes you think, whoa, what is that? That's kind of where you can actually tap, even in procedurally generated worlds, really kind of tell us, like, this game will have like a little sub narrative. If you listen to the, what's it called? Listen to the vidocs with the gents or the team sitting down. They talked about, they even want some people to question like the existential questions of space and what that means in terms of scale, and I think they're going for that vibe. So it's a very good vibe. Nothing too over the top. I don't think so. I hope not. But everything in the trailer was perfect. The gameplay showing was perfect to me in terms of the vibe and the tone. So yeah, I think crazy.
Yeah, I do. I agree. Like what they've said, they kind of want you to feel like this could happen in the near future. But yeah, Bethesda always kind of goes out a little bit and makes sure that it's not.
But they didn't. You see those crab creatures that come out this way? They purposely show that you pull your gun out, but then they looked imposing, but they walked away. And it's like your idea of what's imposing and scary, it challenges that, because the game's like, just because you saw a creature with loads of tentacles, you just assumed it was hostile,
right?
And then it walked away. And then that's the reason behind it. It's trying to show you, like, this isn't a shooty game. You gotta use your brain a little bit. Well, the universe is diverse. Sauce.
You just got me like kind of daydreaming about it was because it had all those spike things on it. And I love that.
Yeah.
Let's see, we got DICE with the $5 says maybe Xbox should show the service game trailers in a pre-show instead of the main show. Yeah, we covered that. I agree as well. Hargy China with $5 says, thinking in terms of the ABK deal, there are two big games coming from this year: Overwatch 2, which we didn't cover tonight because and Modern Warfare 2, just something to consider. I just don't think Modern Warfare 2 is going to get touched by Xbox in that for them to grab something that comes advantageously to Xbox. Sleeping Vistas with the Australian 5 says, Cole, I went to the Melbourne Fan Fest. Oh, I got this one. Hargeet Johnny with the $10 again. Hargeet. He says Breath of the Wild 2 going on 6 years. And he complained about this a lot this weekend, Nick. He says the industry norm is that games take a long time to develop, and COVID has extended that 1 to 2 years. Xbox stopped crunch, which will expand game developer time. You have to expect it.
I mean, even affected Nintendo. I mean, Breath of the Wild got delayed again, and then the stuff Nintendo has released has been mostly bare bones. Look at Mario Strikers that just came out, Mario Golf, a lot of, like, no one's immune to it. Absolutely no one's immune to it. And when I say Breath of the Wild got delayed again, I mean it got delayed to 2023. No one is immune to the development issues that COVID has caused.
But the problems that we're hearing, like we heard about, what's it called? With the initiative, when you had developers saying they were shocked at how hands-off they were, painfully slow development. That's coming from internally. That's not a COVID excuse. That's a Microsoft excuse.
No, it's not. No, it's not. But the super chat was about the COVID stuff. I'm just saying that the COVID things have affected everyone. But yeah, I mean, we've always said that Microsoft appears to be way too hands-off. It's good to be hands-off, but you got to strike a balance, don't you? Like, you got to keep an eye on your studios.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do. Lord Nader with the 5. Thank you, Lord Nader. Says, Gaz, talk about Pentiment. Make this brief, because Josh Sawyer has been explaining what the game is and try to set expectations, but this did not get much of an applause at the show. Gaz, can you give me a quick rundown of what you think of Pentiment? Just Sawyer's incredibly brilliant, but it's kind of a weird game to see at a major showcase.
It's not for me. It's not for me. It's not for me. I mean, tonally. I mean, story-wise, it might be something. I'm playing Disco Elysium now, and I like.
And he says it's not so much like Disco Elysium. So
yeah,
he said that on Twitter.
Nah.
Nick, are you clocking Pentiment?
Probably not.
Okay, let me
honest.
move. I'll move forward.
I love how it looked. I did love the art style and that was all cool, but the style of game that I saw, at least in that trailer, wasn't doing much for me.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you want pleasing to the eye and animations that look really, even if it's a 2D game, like when you talk about that Benedict Fox game, it ticks all the right boxes for you as far as colors and animation and movement and challenge, right?
With Pentiment, it wasn't even the art style. I thought was great. I've got no problem with the fact that it's a hand-drawn art style made to look like an old image on a scroll or something like that. That part didn't bother me. For me, it was the style of game. Like it almost felt reminiscent of those old point-and-click adventure games.
Which I think was
probably
purposed,
and again,
right?
Now in 2022, 2023, I don't particularly have any interest in that. But that's just me.
Yeah.
For those that still love those games, that's great.
Yeah, we'll see if people get excited about that. But the crowd reaction in that live event wasn't so hot.
It's not like I'm not being dismissive of the work. If you imagine you're a dev and you're listening to this and you're like, oh man, what the hell? That kind of game could be like the next, Disco Elysium. Like there's a lot of like narrative wise. It's hard to gauge on the way. That's a game you experience. It's like a book. It's like that.
You've got Josh Sawyer who makes amazing narratives, and from what we see from the first part, we're like, what? And then the reviews will come out, and these journalists might very well say, "This story sucked me in like nothing. Like I haven't done it in a long time."
Yeah, it could be.
And it's something you have to experience. But it's just the showing wasn't so hot for the big reaction. Like, oh my God, Persona! No, I'm just kidding. A Wolf Assassin with a $10 says, "Is there any chance they could show some games like Fable or Avowed tomorrow night?"
I don't think so.
Did they say they did say new trailers? Let me read this. Oh my gosh, where is it? I said I would read it. Right here. This is what they said. Extended Game Showcase June 14th, which is in about 12 hours from now, says where we will share new trailers, take deeper looks at the news from the Xbox and Bethesda Game Showcase, and speak with some of your favorite game creators. I won't read the rest, but they did say there will be some interviews with devs on the stage. Greenberg and Paris said that. So I would expect just an extension of what we saw. As far as new trailers, it could be new trailers of stuff they've already shown. I don't know, but if you're going to say temper expectations, I would definitely temper that one. Let me go back to the click around because everything moved here. Gamer by Choice with the $5 says, "Gaz, is it okay? Everything is fine." Laugh out loud.
It's okay. Everything is fine.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's not fine, but I think that was in response to me just like, let me in, Phil. Let me in.
Kyle Coe with the $5 says, "Cole, you once said Microsoft should allow keyboard and mouse only games on Xbox. Do you still stick to your opinion?" Yeah, absolutely. Yes. And no one agrees.
They won't, but they should.
Thank you, Nick. Gaz, what do you think?
Sorry, what was the question?
I think that they should put games in the It's 3:15 a.m.
No, of course you're Twitter.
Gaz,
sorry, what was
no, Gaz, you're so awesome. You're multitasking, son of a
gun. What was the question?
Nick and I are of the opinion that they should throw PC games that are partnered in on the console and say, sorry, no controller support.
Yeah,
I absolutely think they should. I'm still of that opinion. We're moving on. Dark CMS with a $2 thank you, Dark. He says Redfall You know what? I laugh because I am exactly like Gaz, and he knows it. He'll be talking to me, I'll be like, huh?
Probably if you
On my
ask me
phone.
the question. I still don't even know what you asked me, bro.
Okay, I'm gonna ask you one more time. Are you ready? Wait, I gotta look at the feed because Nick is totally dying on camera. If you're watching XNC on the audio only, Gaz wasn't paying attention, and now both of my co-hosts and my special guest they can't compose themselves, but you guys are amazing. All right, Gaz.
Don't ask me a third time. Just move on.
All right, here we are. Dark CMF says Redfall in the showcase environment was amazing. Hargy Johnny says Pentiment and Grounded are the first party games this year. All right, I'm going to say this. I love Grounded to death. Grounded and Pentiment are the only first party games coming this year. No, I'm sorry.
Grounded.
You need more. Fonzarelli, thank you so much. Fonz, don't you send me a super chat, you son of a gun. He says, had to swing by to support my great friends Colt and Gaz and Nick too.
Hold on.
And Starfield Hype.
It's okay. You didn't have to add that.
Oh, no.
You know,
I love
now
that.
that I've recovered, I want to go back to the keyboard and mouse thing. We had Adam Icegreen on our show, and we had this discussion with him because we were like, you got to bring Age of Empires to the console. If it's a problem with keyboard and mouse, just make sure that you mandate that you have to have a keyboard and mouse. Now, the indication that Adam gave us is, and again, he didn't say this flat out. I'd have to go and watch the episode again to see exactly what he said. So please don't quote me here. But the indication he gave us is that Microsoft have mandated that every game that release on Xbox support controller. And at first I said to Adam, but what about Guitar Hero?
Controller.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If a game
Wait, does he
releases
still
on
not know what
Xbox
subject-
consoles,
Nick,
it
does he
has
still
to
not know what
support
subject we're
controller.
on?
What?
Why
Does he still not know what subject we're on?
Who?
Yeah.
Gaz?
No, I do. But
I'm just
why?
kidding.
What? No, I don't
Because
know.
we were talking about releasing games on Xbox that force keyboard and mouse.
Nah.
And Colt and I agree that yes, why not just have a game that forces keyboard and mouse? Same way you have a game that forces Connect. And you have to have Connect. It's a Connect game, or you have to have a guitar for Guitar Hero, whatever.
It's just a place to. It's just a game to buy.
That's right.
If you have the thing to play it on.
That's exactly right.
What do you mean? If you put
Then it becomes
a
that
game
you're making. It's like a console becomes less of a console.
Listen, you put Heroes of the
For one
Storm.
game.
Well, Heroes of the Storm isn't popular anymore.
It
Like,
starts with the
if
one.
you put League of Legends on console and say no controller support, people will plug in their keyboard and play it.
That's right.
I mean, they can play it on any PC because it's not demanding, but they will sell so many games and then they can turn around and fund something else.
Yeah.
Nah, I don't agree. I disagree
But,
with
yeah.
that. Then you're blurring the lines between PC and console way too much. Then it dilutes in my opinion, what a console means. I don't. That's a slippery slope for me. I think. I don't. I wouldn't.
They already
I wouldn't
do
like
it
that.
as they already allow you to play 50-some games with a mouse and keyboard on a console. On Xbox One and Series
Get
X.
PC,
Yes.
man. It's just like, nah. I don't.
don't
That's a
want PC.
dangerous, slippery slope for me, in my opinion. But
Okay. I'm going to move forward.
I think they should, but Adam gave the impression that won't happen. Like even
I can
Guitar
see,
Hero,
Nick.
even
I can see
Guitar
that
Hero
the-
supports a controller. You can play Guitar Hero with a controller. You don't have to have the peripheral.
You can?
Yep.
Master Cheat with the $5 says if Smite can do Smite can and it does work on console, why would League of Legends be any different? What's the excuse? What's the excuse, guys? Huh? Tell us.
well, every game is different, but League of Legends, if you've seen anyone play League of Legends, they're pretty much a good candidate to get Parkinson's in the future because all they do is like, my little brother plays it, it's just like, micro clicks every second. She's like wanking off the mouse. It's so crazy. How are you going to do that on controller? It's going to be really hard, man. So
I just want to say that Gaz's viewpoints don't necessarily reflect those of the XNC podcast.
Now they do. But yeah, like, it's just, you can't. No, I just don't see it working that way if you've seen someone play League. But I don't know, I might be wrong. People come up with ingenious ways.
I'm just saying, when you go to the store to buy League of Legends, it says no controller support. And you go, well, I'm not buying it. I don't care. If I wanted to play it, I guess I'll just play it on PC. Or I don't know. Who cares? Dante Moody with a $5. Dante, what are you doing, man? He says 1,000 planets seems like a lot might be barren. Is the quote. The reality of space has entered the chat. Space is big, and so is Gaz's ego. Elemental Pio with the $5 says, where is Rockstar's retro sci-fi fantasy open world game? It's the only genre left for them to make. I'm not familiar they wanted to make something like that. I knew Naughty Dog wanted to make a sci-fi game, but Sleeping Visits with the Australian 5. Colt, what's the difference between early access Grounded and the final version that's coming out later this year? That depends on how much you've played, but the game, when it launched in preview, would have like 6% of what the game is, and now it's nearing 90 to 100% right now. Hargit Johnny with the $5 to State of Decay 3 announced 2020 will likely started development in 2018, 5-year dev cycle. He does the math to 2023, add a year for COVID. State of Decay 3 is coming in 2024. You can do the math for all the games. Add a year, sometimes add 2. Dark Sea Math of the 5. I'm trying to get through these. In the car, still listening. He's still getting home from LA. He says, but for to get some, that's not correct grammar, Dark. He says, but for to get some refreshing Baja Blast. He's going to get some Baja Blast on the way home. Not much else to say tonight, he says. All right. Anyway, Flush Jackson, welcome to the channel membership. Hargit Johnny says, guessing Hellblade 2 gets a 2023 release date at the Game Awards this year. Nick, do you think Hellblade is ready for the end of 2023?
Wouldn't surprise me.
That's where I'm
Wouldn't
sitting.
surprise me.
Crazy Night Boy with the New Zealand $2 says, sorry, team, missed the show. My mom's dog just died. That's terrible. Let me know in the chat what kind of dog she had. I have a couple dogs. I love my dogs so much. Tell her we're so sorry. Being away from them was kind of tough. I saw somebody had a dog at the airport. I was like, oh, this is so cute.
Dogs are great.
I just kind of melt. Dogs are all right. Nick, you a cat guy?
No, I'm a dog guy, but I have a cat.
Oh, okay. Jose Linares says with a $2 super chat, I'm definitely building a phallic spaceship on Starfield. Which Gaz will probably do as well.
For the record, Colt changed the word that was actually used in that super chat.
I did. My producer is really good about sometimes saying, you should read this one out loud before you, or read it in your mind before you read it. But you still get the coming into port. Dark CMF with the $2 says Redfall, Forza, and Starfield sounded phenomenal. The sound was great. The sound was really great. You should, if you have a great sound system, replay it in 4K, turn it up. Gaz, just cross your eyes so it'll feel like it's 60 frames. Hargy Johnny with the $5 says, okay, I can nitpick. They had the explosive sounds of other ships in space. Like the old physics of you can't hear in space. He says, not a thing, but it'd be cool if they were realistic. I'm good with that. Caden C with the $5 says, thoughts on Avowed? Was hype due to the rumors, but it ultimately was not there. Since that, I've heard that it's in a bad spot with leads changing. All right, Nick, fix this, what he just said. He said Avowed is in a bad spot.
Okay, so the Avowed in a bad spot has come from Gaz's best friend?
Oh, God.
That was even a different game. This is how rumors work, right, Nick? He says Avowed's in a bad spot. He heard it from someone who translated it to a totally different game. But how's Avowed sitting, Nick?
This led to Clobberl getting banned on Reset.
Is he banned?
Oh, what happened?
He got banned for a few days because he called out Schreier. Because apparently...
Tell us the story, because I heard about this.
I don't know.
But I don't know.
I didn't look super detailed into it, but Schreier was on Reset alluding to the fact that Avowed had changed leads or something, and something was being redone, or basically doing what Jason sometimes does. And then Clobberl came along and basically showed some kind of chat transcript or something that seemed to reveal that Jason's source was Chris Avallone, which probably isn't the best source to be talking about Obsidian stuff.
Because he's no longer there, and there might be some.
He hasn't been there for ages. He has not been there for a long, long time, so he probably would not know. And yeah, so Clobberl got banned for calling him out, and I think that's now led to people thinking that Avowed's in trouble.
Okay.
So, as far as I'm aware, that's
where that comes from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if I believe it.
Major pinch of salt.
Yeah, I don't know, because if that is the case, if Jason's source on that information is Chris Avallone, then yeah, maybe don't put too much credence in it.
There was a pretty big argument along with that, and Schreier called Clobberl some names, or kind of, I don't know, he's being...
He's being Schreier is the nice way to say it.
I feel like there's some irony in that, though.
Yeah. A massive irony in that. But yeah.
What a mess when this stuff happens. Thank you so much for the super chat, Caden C. We appreciate that. That kind of opens up a can of worms. Udani Quezada with a $50 super chat. Udani, bro, stop. You're amazing. He says, this is for my pillow. This is for my pillow for Gaz. Please don't let him buy any more Apex skins.
I've stopped.
In fact, with that money, I'm going to order a pillow with my face screen printed on it for Gaz to lay on at night. Oh, Colt. Still amazing.
Goodbye, sleep forever. Hello, sex. No, just kidding.
Gamer by Choice, welcome to the channel membership. You're awesome. You've got the Joanna Dark pick. You'll be in the pool for giveaways. You get early access to videos. What I'll probably do is digest all of this stuff tomorrow after I get a full night's sleep, and then I'll start working on a video with maybe a little bit more perspective. Thanks to Gaz, my excellent co-host, who's helped me get an understanding of how things are looking from his side, not being at the show, and Nick, of course. All these things we were hoping to see that didn't come, and some of the stuff that looks really fantastic. So thank you. Hit the like button. You're a good time. What's that?
Are we going to talk about what we wanted to see but didn't? Or...
Yes, let's do that right now. Hectic World's got one last super for 5. He says, thank you, Hectic World. He says, I play on PC with an Elite V2 controller, and I do find just enough with the keyboard and mouse. You must be good with a keyboard and mouse first for those games. Yes, absolutely. Nick, lead us into what we didn't see and what we were expecting, or how you want to frame that. Go ahead.
Everyone knows mine. Mine's GoldenEye. Like, it's... We all know the game exists. They've been unlocking achievements for the last 6 months. So, you know, I worked under the assumption that that's where it was going to get announced. I was like, it has to be there. So the fact that it wasn't there tells me that Nintendo must have got the announce for it. That's the only thing I can assume.
Oh, really?
Yes, because remember, the game still had to go through Nintendo to even to get a release, because there's I think there's basically 3 parties involved: Microsoft / Rare, Danjak, who oversee Bond in all media, and Nintendo. So because Nintendo apparently held design patents on the original game, because yes, it was developed by Rare, but it was developed, obviously, I assume, in part with Nintendo for the Nintendo 64. So Nintendo held some design patents on the original game. So Nintendo had to have a say in this for this thing to exist, which is why it should be coming to Xbox, Switch, and I'm assuming PC. But for Microsoft to not get the announce, because the anniversary of GoldenEye is in August. So
Gamescom.
Well, I mean, why wait for Gamescom? The entire achievement list is on the Xbox website, like right now.
What is this? What is this game, Nick? Like, what are you expecting it to be? Remaster. Didn't you say something on your last show that it was, it has an original and upgraded swap?
You can do the graphic switching and all that sort of stuff.
Sell us on this thing. Like, what are you expecting? What's it going to be? Why are you so excited? And
I'm excited because it's GoldenEye. I adore GoldenEye. Like, GoldenEye with modern controls.
Oh, and Nick, Nick,
Yeah.
and this is your chance to destroy Jez and Rand. You have free reign, bro. Destroy them.
Jez and Rand. Why? What did Jez and Rand say about?
Because they give you a hard time for being excited about
Rand.
gold.
Yeah.
So
Rand's problem is that he's just a little bit out of touch. That's Rand's problem. Rand. You know, anyone that doesn't get how big a deal GoldenEye is, it has to be just a little bit out of touch. GoldenEye on a Nintendo 64, yes, that would not be enjoyable this day and age right now.
Like, what are they going to upgrade? Like, I know, who was it in New Black says, what more do you need to say? But like, how upgrade is it going to look like? Is it going to feel like a modern iteration? They tried to reboot it 10 years ago.
Did you play the Perfect Dark Xbox Live Arcade port?
Yes. A couple months ago before I played through it. Yes. Played through a little bit of it to make a video.
It's basically that. It's just the GoldenEye equivalent of that, but I believe it's also got the graphics switching. It's supposed to have, I've been told it's supposed to have crossplay with Switch. So it's going to be, it should be something pretty special for fans of GoldenEye. Like, in the end, that Perfect Dark port feels great because it's got modern controls, you know, right stick for looking around, left stick for movement. I don't know if you remember how GoldenEye felt on a Nintendo 64 controller.
I do.
Trying to do that now is not fun. Like,
horrendous, yeah, if you played it now.
It's a single analog stick, and you're looking around with your...
And it was the worst analog stick of all video gaming time.
Man.
It's horrible.
It was, especially when you were playing Mario Party.
And did you shoot with that little middle trigger underneath the controller back then?
Yes.
Yeah.
That
was a new thing back then, shooting with an actual trigger.
Yeah. That was a cool trigger, but then you had the shoulder buttons to fine aim, and then
fine aim with left one. It was just it didn't work. I mean, it worked.
Was just awkward.
But it don't work now.
But that being ported to a modern control scheme would be and at 4K 60 and god, I can't wait.
Is it going to be Pierce Brosnan and everything? Like they're going to give it a better looking face of him, and like it's the whole thing.
That's a good question. I'm not sure. Apparently, you can already download it and play it on PC. Like it got leaked earlier in the year.
Did you go look at that leak to see how it looks?
I did not. I know people that did. I personally did not because I do not advocate for piracy. But I do know people that did.
You're so wholesome. Well, okay. Hey. Gaz, what by all rights should have been there that wasn't there?
That's a good question, the way you frame it that way. Something from, I think, I'm surprised Avowed wasn't there. I'm surprised that should have been there. If all the games, based on, what Jez has said, seemed like it had progressed quite a bit. If you had a couple more, one more things, that would have been nice. Indiana Jones would have been lovely to see some gameplay of a third-person, really visually competent game that's like
where are they on Indiana Jones? Because I talked to an Xbox employee and he's like, what are you playing? And I said, I've been playing I've been actually replaying Wolfenstein New Colossus again because I'm really getting excited about the next thing for Machine Games. This is night before he said, they I hope they announce something. He wasn't, how do I say, he was a new employee. I'll say that. Yeah. So he was like, I hope they announce something, a Wolfenstein soon because those games are great. And I thought he's probably not keyed in on the showcase, but I'm like, I was starting to wonder this past couple weeks if Wolfenstein was ready or even if they just sidelined it for Indiana Jones. I want to ask both of you about where you think Machine Games, where's their priority right now? Is it with Indiana Jones or is it with a Wolfenstein game?
I think it should be with the game. Indie. 100%. Because that's going to be a challenge going from what they know, which is first person, to hopefully third person Indiana Jones.
Nick, where are they and what's their window for Indiana Jones if you were to do an educated guess and to crush the guy that's the last of us in the chat? We got a guy in the chat who's got the pink tee who he loves buying a game for the third time in just 11 years. But let him know where he says Indiana Jones is a myth.
Oh, it's not a myth. They've announced it. But my I just find it difficult to believe that you wouldn't be doing everything in your power to have that game out for next year with the movie. I'm not saying that's easy to do. I'm sure it's not easy to do at all. But surely you are throwing everything at that game to make sure it comes out next year, even if it's late next year. Because, my God, timing a game to release with a movie, this isn't the 80s or 90s anymore where we whip up a 16-bit game in like 15 minutes.
And they're garbage.
Comes out and there it is. Like, it would be almost impossible to align within the same month, but if they can at least have indie out next year, even if it's late next year, you've got the hype of the movie carrying it, unless the movie sucks, but you've got the hype of the movie helping to carry the game as well and market the game for you.
The Spider-Man games never released around the Spider-Man movies. They don't care. No. They don't need them to. Indiana Jones doesn't need to release next to a movie. In fact, Nick Wood actually doesn't need to.
But it would help. Like, Indiana Jones isn't Spider-Man. Like, Indiana Jones isn't... Like, Indiana Jones is more a franchise from our time cult.
The 30s and 40-year-olds,
It's not... Where Spider-Man is still more relevant to a younger audience now. So, Spider-Man as a game doesn't need the movies to carry it or help it. Where I think indie may just even a little bit, it would help. Because you're going to have 20-year-olds that are like, what the hell's Indiana Jones?
Yeah.
Who the hell's Indiana Jones?
We're so old.
Yeah, I often wonder about that.
It's not like for like. Indiana Jones is a very specific market you're hitting. And I feel like for that younger audience, because you can't have a successful game without at least tapping into a younger audience to a degree.
Yeah.
A game standing on its own, you're not going to have that younger audience. They're going to be like, what the hell's Indiana Jones? But if the movie comes out next year and is a hit, and everyone loves Indiana Jones, we're talking Indiana Jones, and then, oh my God, there's a game coming out of Indiana Jones this year as well. Wow, let's go play Indiana Jones. I think it would help indie. I think,
It might be the other way around, Nick. It might be the other way around. Machine Games is super talented, and games have been bigger than movies in many cases. You could be looking at a thing where the people actually go to see the movie because the video game was really great. It is interesting. We have Uncharted, we have Tomb Raider, and now we're going to bring back Indiana Jones. If you have not played...
They're video game IPs that had movies made, where Indiana Jones is a movie that had video games made. That's a little bit different.
And you're right, because in the 90s and the early 2000s, they would put out a movie licensed game, and they would just like chuck that thing out
slap
into
them out.
And it was horrible. It was always horrible. And then they would turn around and make a movie after a video game. It was horrible. But I just watched Uncharted on the plane to LA. I remember watching it. It was good. It was enjoyable. Yeah, it was okay. It wasn't as bad as people let it on. I just I don't like Tom Holland as Nathan Drake. Neither did I. I'm glad that Mark Wahlberg coming back with a mustache. They should have grayed up his hair with some sheetrock dust, and they should have gave him a mustache and just said.
And I love Tom Holland, just
not as Nathan Drake.
Just not as Nathan.
And Nathan Fillion's a little bit too old to play and keep that series going. Like, that's the cool thing about the Uncharted movie. Who cares? One more thing before we go. What's one more thing from both of you that by all rights should have been there? We have GoldenEye, we have Avowed, and we kind of covered it earlier in the show. But Gaz, what's one more thing you think they should have shown?
Quake. No, I think they need.
Why not?
Quake. Quake is a far-fetched one.
They've got Quake.
Yeah, Quake one. But a new Quake, not Quake remake or remaster or something. Reboot. Reboot. Nah, I want a Quake, actual multiplayer-focused arena shooter. But in terms of
Quake Champions. But we have Quake Champions.
Yeah, I played it. It's not all that.
You want some more?
It's decent, but I just want to like we keep focusing on new games, and I'm sure they're in the works with the ABK. There's a lot more in the slate there. I really want to see the Fables and the State of Decays and the Perfect Darks, Elder Scrolls. These are games I think we want to see if everything is okay. Like, what's the status? There's so much good games. Fable, for instance, I really want to see. And I don't know. That's the thing. Like, 2018, you had those acquisitions. That was one of the best, if not the best E3, because of those announcements. And Compulsion Games, what have they been working on, man?
They were MIA.
Man, I can't believe we still don't know what they're doing. How?
Anyway, it's
we
good,
know, but why haven't they
they
shown it, Nick?
Is everything okay?
We know
What
they've
is
got
it?
Project Midnight. We know what it is.
Oh, is that what it is? Project Midnight.
It's a third-person RPG with a female-led character. It's a dark fantasy RPG. We know that much from Jez Cord and Windows Central, and they're still not ready to see it. Now, they probably started it in 2018. They wrapped We Happy Few in 2017, and they kind of supported the game for a year.
DLC and updates and stuff for it?
They were. So maybe they started in 2019, but
and then the pandemic
Gaz
hit.
thinks they should have shown something from Fable. Like, you're with me, Gaz. They should have rendered something and said, here's something, here's in-engine. Here's what the world looks like.
I think more than Fable, Perfect Dark is because the studio is built from the ground up. It's a slap in the face with the studio, the initiative, the talent, and all what we've heard from people who have left the departures from the creative lead. There's a burden, I think, on Xbox to kind of dispel and say, look, everything is okay. We tried to that's the one. The initiative is the one that needs to, because Xbox, ground up, studio, you built it. What's going on? Can you manage these people? Because it doesn't look like it so far.
Yeah.
Phil Spencer was playing something 3 years ago. What was he holding a controller for? People say, oh, you want to see gameplay so early? Why the bloody hell would you share that picture? What are you trying to do?
Yeah, like
are
the
you
guy
so
with him left.
short-sighted then? You did it. You keep dangling this carrot. They've done the CGI trailer. Then we hear the development problems.
It's always possible. It's always possible that there was something playable back then.
I'm not saying there wasn't. I'm not saying
there was.
I'm just saying there was.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it's possible that there was something playable back then.
Yeah.
And then trouble hit. They bring Crystal Dynamics on.
Yeah.
And maybe things have just changed a little bit. I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know. None of us know. It's just
what was described to me
definitely
about Perfect Dark. What was described to me about Perfect Dark sounded amazing. And if they've stuck to that, I'm still very much looking forward to it.
It is. Rise of the Tomb Raider is incredible. We know that Crystal Dynamics is super talented when they get to do what they do best, and Avengers ain't in it. And someone in the chat says, let's see here. Gamerbum says the initiative is disappointing right now. The initiative is exactly what they've always wanted to be. A lot of us, me included, just thought they were something different. I thought they were going to build up a 200-person studio and build a game. But we found out last year, right, Nick, that the idea was always to be 40-some people and bring in a contractor and build a game and then work with them again or cut them loose, I guess.
Be like the project leads.
Yes, they're the ones that are going to conceptualize the game. They built a playable framework. That wasn't a lie. They have a playable framework of the game, and now it's up to Crystal Dynamics to make it look as good as they do because they make some great-looking games. So, yeah, let's see. We got one last, I think. Hargy says, again, Compulsion games started in 2018. Starts growing to be able to do a AAA game. Compulsion. I'm off Hargy's chat or his super chat here for a second. Compulsion Games asked Xbox for AAA funding, so that was like the sell they had to push. So Hargy says 5 years out would be 2023. Add a year for COVID and add a year for growing. He thinks Compulsion is 2025. Have to get used to this. It's normal.
7 years? No, that's
It's just adding a year for COVID. Add a year for.
I think 5 to 6, but you do add a year for COVID. You do add a year for COVID. This is the X&C podcast here with my co-host Gaz from Game On Daily. I do have his link in the description if you want to go follow him and subscribe to the channel. Also, I'll get in Special Nick from Xbox Era. I'll get his. I actually set the show up on my phone while we're driving home. So I'll get that up in order. Thank you so much for being to a super long show. Gaz, it's 4 a.m. You're amazing. I want you to tell everybody before we close with Special Nick, what are you doing? What do you have planned for this week besides never resting?
I have to wake up in 3 hours. Thanks a lot for a long show, you piece of... No, thank you so much it's been fun. It's actually been quite a lot of fun. Chat, if you feel me too much too negative, it's gonna be, look, it's fun. It's fun. We'll always keep it real. We'll try to. If you don't like the whinging, I'm sorry, but this is what par for the cause for Xbox, and we always do. So it's nice, and it's been a great show. It's been loads of fun. Really good chatting to you guys in chat. I've been hilarious as well. It's really good to be chatting to Nick, man. It's cracking me up. It's good to be here with you guys. Just very natural energy. It's good to see you back, Colt. We can now chat now that you've had that time. It's crazy that Phil Spencer watches my show. I'm sure he's got a Source shirt, but he won't admit it because he loves it.
You know what? You need to send him one. Let's send him one. Well, yeah. Mr. Potter says, thank you for the $2. He says, is Gaz wondering where is Halo for the show?
It's in the bushes. But yeah.
Gaz, thank you so much. Every Monday night we do this. I'm super grateful that you risk your life to do this show. But bro, such a great best friend, man. I appreciate it. Nick, you've been so busy, but now that all the games are out in the open for what's coming, there's a lot of content for 2022 to talk about. What are you going to do on Xbox Era, your fantastic podcast and your site and everything? What's tell people where they can find you and what you're going to do this week.
You can find everything on xboxera.com. We have everything there, the forums, the new Day One app, which, Jason Ronald reached out to me and John and said that he really liked that app. What else? We host everything there, so it's very easy just to go to xboxera.com. Me personally, I need to start and /finish my review of Shredder's Revenge. Which should be
nice, bro.
I can't wait. I can't wait to get my hands on that and start playing it. And I think over the next couple of months I'll probably be doing more reviews than I've done for a while. I'm very lazy, so I don't do as much work as a lot of the others on Xbox Era. The podcast is my main focus. But yeah, so head on over to xboxera.com and check everything out there. Thanks for having me on, by the way.
Yeah, no, thanks for being here. I really appreciate it.
I need sleep.
Yeah, I need sleep as well. It's been crazy. Glad to be home. Thank you for checking out the show. It'll be on demand on Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts, Pocket Podcasts, and a couple other places. Thank you so much. Gaz, get some sleep. We'll talk tomorrow when you get home and you're laying in your little bed and you got the covers up over your shoulder and you're just all nice and comfortable. Chat, you've been amazing. Thank you for everybody's support. We're going to get out of here and hit the we're not live anymore button. Have a good night, and we'll see you soon.
Ciao for now.
I'm naked.